used to power ships, cities, childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silrain Heart, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common: the crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.
That's what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Argonauts. Welcome all to a Friday night stream. It is October 1st, 2021, in the year of our Lord, etc., etc. And the time has come, ladies and gentlemen, for a truly epic experience for which none of you could possibly be prepared, because all of us have arrived today together. Not quite all, but many of us, anyway, have arrived together more than has ever been the case before, as we are prepared for a very special session of Esper Genesis. Welcome to day 68 of Esper Genesis Stormfall. I am live from the Origins game convention with the power of RBox 2.0. I hope everyone's doing well. Before we get started, just a couple of reminders about ways to support the channel. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube, our Discord with !ArvCord, our Twitter with !ArvTweets, and the website for this is arvaneleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvShop is the merchandise area, !ArvTrayon is the Patreon, which makes it possible to do things like have ArvBox in the first place, so thank you. And it also gets you inspirations to help our players. Not saying that the players will need any inspirations tonight. I'm sure everything will be fine. I can't imagine what could ever go wrong. So we've got that. And then, of course, we have subbing to the channel, which I believe Mrs. Dunsel did earlier today. So thank you, Mrs. Dunsel. I appreciate the resub. And all of that makes a big difference in the channel and allows you to be even more part of what this channel does. On the publishing side, Icarus, which I've been talking about a lot this weekend. Icarus, the graphic novel from the extraordinary, inimitable Athos Arts. And you can find more details about that with Icarus. Library will give you Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook, which I have also been talking a lot about this weekend. That from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And more details coming soon, TM, Grayshade KS for the Grayshade Kickstarter. Last but certainly not least, as always, BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives, and Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when they need help and to reach out to others when you need help as well. Tonight we are playing some Esper Genesis, folks, but not just any normal Esper Genesis session, because I still don't think any of you are prepared, because I'm going to unmute myself and then I'm going to unmute them as soon as I find my volume mixer. There we go. I'm going to unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I'm going to head over to show you that we have the crew. Now, Saladin Ahmed is not with us this time. We will have Saladin back on the 15th. But what we do have today, chat, is we have Johnny and Kat and Carlos and Zach. But two of these people are in the same room. Note, it's happening. It's happening. We are live from Origins, people, and we are live from Origins.
I'm Carlos. I'm Johnny. I'm Johnny.
So it's proven.
I know. Like a lot of fun.
It really is a lot of fun. Prince Justin's like, I can't handle this. It's true. I told you, none of you were prepared, like at all for what is going on. So we are all here. We are ready, and I'm super excited to have for the first time. Now I've played with Carlos at ICFA in Florida, and that was me with the other folks coming in remotely. I played with Johnny at PAX Unplugged a couple of years ago. That was also Johnny and me, and then everyone else came in remotely. But never before have we had two players plus me in the same room at the same time with Kat and Zach off on the West Coast. My hope is that someday we can get everybody together in one room for the most all-epic Esper Genesis sessions of all time. But still, this is amazing and awesome. So I will start with the first gentleman who I get to look at directly and say, hello, Johnny, how are you? How is life, the universe with you? And what's going on with you on the left side of the couch over there? How's the...
I'm unpacking this thing that I got in the mail.
Oh.
See if I can open it up. I've been holding on to it for like a couple of days or something.
Ooh,
It smells magical.
It really does. It's almost as if it's like a tome or something.
Yeah, like that new book smell.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Is it forbidden though? I'm not sure if you're supposed
I'm
to.
not really sure, but it's sort of. Yeah. It's.
Yay! Tales and tomes, baby, from the Forbidden Library. I've sold actually 5 of those so far just today. And a lot of people like this. Thank you, first of all, for getting that. I appreciate it very much. And on the back of it, you'll note. Can you hold up and show some of the names? I think there's some guy I see with it. There's and then also above there's a Cat Rambo, I think that says, and then there's a Carlos Hernandez right there, I believe. So like there's 2 people. Yeah, they sound like good people. People that I would like to know. I am very excited. Everyone has been enjoying the physical books, and thank you, Johnny. Besides being wonderful by showing off my book. How else are you doing? How's life as you continue
I'm not
to crisscross?
Done with this yet.
Okay.
So tomorrow I am going to fangirl out, and I'm going to find the author of this book and some of the other authors inside of this book and ask them to sign it because they need their fangirl moment too.
Yay, I'm excited. Please make sure you do that by literally running up and then.
Would you like to record it?
Everyone's like, you don't have real fans. I'm like, oh no. Just Then I just tweet that out and retweet 35 times. So just
my partner and I, Chrisanne, who's here in the room, we have cannonballs across the country to be here so that I could do this to Carlos. Oh, I'm sorry. May I touch you?
Yes.
Okay.
The RP moments are going to be so great this whole time.
That's great. Oh yes, sleep well and Aramis in the same room on the same couch. I can't wait to see.
I'm telling you, it's the RP
madness.
moments are going to be insane. Yeah, and so it was very nice of them to jump in their car and drive from California all the way here just for this. And I'm really.
The only reason I'm here.
I was really.
The only reason I come to the Midwest, to Columbus.
Is just for this, and it was really nice, and he did it all in one day, and that was just really, it was really appreciated. No, I'm sorry, I'm talking about me yesterday getting here from New York. Anyway, but when you are not being otherwise hilarious and funny and poking Carlos, who are you playing in this game, John?
I am playing an Ashen Forged Melder who should be level 10 after that big fight.
Listen, wait till you get out of the base. Oh my God! The minute they show up,
just leave the episode start. Just leave the base level 10.
Yeah, right. Yeah, fast travel, right? Like this is the thing, right? Like immediately people come on, and the first thing, and Kat's just like, in my other campaign, I'm currently level 10, and I'm like, listen,
I said lots of stuff, and you fixated on one thing that I said. And just
37
times. Great jobs on levels, and I got to do that at least once.
Yes, well, no, it's fair enough. I gather, I accept this. But I am very much excited to have Aramis with us, with Johnny Pittman, the amazing Johnny Pittman playing him. I'm also very excited to have, not currently in the room with us, but of course in our hearts. And that, of course, is Cat Rambo. It's good to see you, Cat. Even though you were not being poked in the arm by Johnny or by Carlos or anything like that, nonetheless, it is wonderful to have you here. How are you doing on the actual left coast, not the left side of the couch? How are you doing on the left coast, and who are you playing today?
I am doing fine. It's fall here, so the inevitable rain has set in on Seattle. And I am playing Petrus Sinus, Ashen Forged Sentinel, wielding a very large, sometimes sparking, sometimes flaming hammer.
That's right, and which got some use, actually, recently. Because of a fight that we're going to talk about in just a bit. But always a pleasure to have Kat with us. And it's also, of course, always a pleasure to have someone else who's in the room on the right side of the couch. And that, of course, is one Mr. Carlos Hernandez, who, let it be said, I don't think I left it in my room downstairs, but provided me a very generous gift. I can say this because my daughter is currently not watching, but a very generous gift, which I'm going to ask Carlos to explain what that gift was, but it definitely has a connection to Little Arv. And Carlos, it is wonderful as always, my friend, to see you. How are you? How's life? And what is this gift that you gave me, that you were so kind to give me and my daughter, and who are you playing?
Life is good. It's good to be here at Origins. It's a smaller Origins, but I really love how attentive like, I would say like 90+% like full mass coverage. People
Yeah.
have just been really wonderful, and it's been a very enjoyable con so far. I know the book room is doing really well. Like it's the authors here are getting lots of traffic. It's going really well. With the guest of honor, I just had a chance to play a little Negotius and Vanilla, so Maurice Broadus was...
Oh, did you? Nice.
Yeah, he came and played for a little while.
Oh,
We had a really
nice.
good time.
I'll
They-
bet.
They had a wild session. It was great. So, playing games, hanging out with authors, it's a good time. The gift that I gave to Little Arv, and she goes by Little Arv?
Yes.
Right? So, okay,
Yes.
Yeah, so to Little Arv was a copy of the anthology The Cursed Carnival and Other Calamities. So this is a new Rick Riordan Presents anthology that has works from all the Rick Riordan Presents authors to date, plus Rick himself. He has a new story in there about Irish mythology that he is exploring, and it is seriously like the most violent thing I've ever seen, like anywhere. It's like it is so curious to me. It's like, oh yeah, right, middle grade, I kill people. This is his career,
But gently,
Yeah.
caringly,
No, not so much. Like, it's like, because what he's doing, he's very authentic and like does a ton of research. He literally now has a master's degree in old Irish literature and stuff, and so. He took a degree, wrote this bloody ass story about like this kid who's like 8 and kills the hell out of everybody around him. It's amazing.
Wow.
So anyway, I recommend it. No, I mean like it just feels like a different time. Just like when people died younger and played harder and things like that. So anyway, my story in there is called Calamity Juice. It's a Sal and Gabby story in which we learn that one way to hop around the multiverse is to get vomited upon by a unicorn. So now you know.
Which is the most Carlos of Carlos things, can I just say? It's just so well suited for everything. Who are you playing in this game? And thank you again for that gift.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Hope Little Arv loves it. I'm playing Ludoku Sleepwell, who was just finishing up with a harrowing encounter with this boss that we just wiped out, and is eagerly awaiting to see what happens when he gets out of this basement and rises in levels toward the surface. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying.
That's real well played. Subtle. Very subtle.
Oh, man. Suddenly the curse of the level reverse happens. No, son of a...
We wake up on the
Yes,
the
yes,
ship.
yes.
Energy Drain was the worst.
It was all a
thing.
dream.
Yeah.
That's true. It was all a dream. Have I mentioned the basilisk white? That this is going to be good times. It is a pleasure to have Carlos with us as always, and to have these two wonderful gentlemen in front of me. It is also a pleasure to have yet another gentleman, but not right in front of us, sadly, but on the left coast, and that is one Mr. Zach Clay. Zach, it's good to see you. Again, I hope you're hanging in there and everything is going okay. I don't know if if you can handle not being on a couch to be pushed around and bowed to by Carlos and Johnny. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
That sort of thing. How are you doing, Zach, and who are you playing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to see more than half of us have come together in a location. Soon enough, we're gonna have an EG all together campaign group session. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And
Straight up.
no, I'm doing great. I just want to say to Carlos and Johnny, you guys are arm's length away from looking at DM notes. You guys can change the roles of the bosses. Please, maybe take up those opportunities.
Just so you know, Zach, my partner is sitting, in the background. She has full view of everything that Greg sees. She's secretly taking pictures for us. Trust me.
Yep. You'll go back to your room tonight. You'll be like, all right, show me the goods. That's great.
Let's see.
Yeah. So. I'm very excited about tonight. Very happy to be here. I'm playing Cosmoritis, a Belare hunter / specialist who also soon to be level 10 and has a sniper rifle that he shoots at things with and creates dimensional pocket realms.
I am very excited to have them with us. And I think the time has come for us to get into Esper Genesis, Belare's destruction. So it begins with I'm just it's like, wait a minute, I don't. Big hints to the GM tonight. Yeah, hints. Yeah, where a hint is defined as slap to the face. Okay. So, it is a pleasure to have everyone with us. Let us get to it, and let us fire up a little bit of music here. And we are out of combat, but for how long? Let's fire up some inner core here through tabletop. Let's see if I got this.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. In our last session, please let me know, chat, if that's too loud. I can turn it down. It's probably a little bit loud. Okay. In our last session, and the Rising Tides has gifted a sub to Saradak. First of all, thank you, Saradak. Secondly, thank you so much, Rising Tides. It's good to see you, Brandon. I hope everything is going okay. It is always a pleasure to have you with us. And welcome, man. It is awesome, and I hope all is well. And you're going to be hearing and seeing more from Brandon this month as Sound Clash returns and as Speculates Blades in the Dark comes at you, plus Rebel Crown, in which Brandon and I are going to do our level best to take back our kingdom, specifically the Splendor's Kingdom, played by Alex Axe, so that we can, destroy the bastard who undercut my own military plans. So, anyway, that's going to happen. It's a great pleasure to have Rising Tides with us. Brandon's not very good at the moment. I'm glad to see you all having fun at Origins. Have a wonderful game. Thank you very much. That's very kind of you for the gift. I'm sorry to hear your brain's not very good at the moment. Just be aware that you are very good at every moment, and it is good to see you. And thank you for the Prime sub as well, Aerith. I don't know what's going on with my notifications, folks. I'm not going to take time to fix it now, but I do see them, so thank you, and thank you so much, and you were the wind beneath my wings, etc. In our last session, the crew, which has been making its way down through the base known as, to attempt to deal with the group known as Stormdark, the rogue faction of Zephyr Corps, has been going down this base to be able to find them and have discovered a number of unusual things. Number one, they discovered that they were not the first people to arrive at this base, and that the ones who had arrived at the base who had taken over a good deal of it, who basically controlled part of it, were not in control of all of it. Those were known as the Obsidian Knights, the elite security force of one Laris Baludin, who has been a thorn in the side of the party before this, and is also one of the main heads, leaders, let us say, of Stormdark and of this rogue faction. The party wanted to track him down, but half of the base was taken over by this elite security force, the Obsidian Knights. The other half was shut down and was basically, the power seems to be out. There seems to have been a lot of damage that was done to it. And what the party discovered is that these two large and difficult creatures, or very powerful creatures, I should say, that had been had terrible experiments done to it. Basically, these bioroid things had been found on one corner of the base. They had somehow broken out and were now ravaging through one side of the base. But in something which came as a surprise to everyone, including the GM, the party was able to reason with the bioroids through the use of a mechanical drone and a object lesson in laying eggs. If that doesn't make sense to you, please go watch the video, because, so they managed to get out of that and then headed down to the bottom level of the base, where they discovered the secret hideout of Laris Baludin himself. But that was not all that they discovered down there. When they went down to the actual room where Laris was to be found, they found 3 dead technicians, and they found 2 guards there, one guard of whom had a laser rifle trained at them, and the other of whom blew away the first one and then removed her helmet to reveal a woman who seemed to be a human woman, who seemed to be sort of very strong-willed, gritty, thousand-yard stare type of person, who said that she had been on the trail of this Laris Baludin and trying to deal with Laris Baludin for a long time. She is an operative of some kind. Thank you so much for the 100 bits, Rising Tides. I appreciate it. Thank you. So she had managed to infiltrate this place, and her name was only Z. Her name was Z. And just as she introduced herself and came forth, Laris Baludin himself emerged. He was a nightmare from some kind of a horrific vision, with many cybernetic implants and wires and cables. He said he had become a new form of life, a new superior form of life. He taunted the party, and then, of course, a big combat began, with both him him and several other of those bioroids I previously mentioned, smaller ones, not the ones that the party had left upstairs. Those ones ended up battling against Laris Baladin, along with Laris Baladin against the party. It was not easy, but thanks to the might of Petra, the flaming discs of Aramis, the tactical drone use and healing, let it be said, of Sleepwell, and of course several impressively placed shots, sniper shots from one Cosmeritis, and of course a couple of badass, like up-close rogue type hits from Z, Laris Baladin eventually fell. At the very end of that combat, though, just as the crew was raising their hands in triumph, metaphorically speaking, they happened to notice that Bliss Larkham, who is one of the people that they came here to rescue, is still lying just sort of suspended in these wires in one of the pods that are on the other side of this room. And moreover, there was this and then the voice of Alfred, their AI, above them saying, "Please, I'm leaving. I'm leaving." And that was where we left last session. And so we pick up here. And I'm going to begin by asking the party what you would like to do. So Laris Baladin is dead. And Bliss Larkham is over here, suspended. And as I say, Bliss Larkham at the moment is just kind of like hanging basically in these cables in the pod that you see there. So, what would the party like to do?
So she's hanging. I'm sorry. Can you just point it out on the map? Where is she hanging?
Oh, she is right. She's right.
Get up, Greg, and just point it out on Carlos's
Exactly. She's
screen.
right there.
You
I
can
can't
just,
because all I see are the video screens. However, I have
Okay.
done this. I have shown this. So,
So, yeah, definitely Sleepwell's immediately going to respond to Alfred and keep like, "What does leaving mean? What does that mean?"
I can't. There's not good. You take. And then there's this what sounds like pew pew, like blaster fire,
Ooh.
and then
Aramis immediately moves back towards the elevator
okay.
and yells, "Somebody take care of Bliss!"
That's.
books.
I'm gonna go over to Bliss and try and look at her to see if
Okay.
I can get her down.
As Petra does that, Kaz will position himself directly across from the tank.
Okay.
And we'll take a quick look behind him just to make sure, is there anything in this big tank behind me that's about to jump out and...
No, the other pods look to be empty. The ones that were open were the ones that you saw down here, one of them here, and one of them, one of them here. These two are the ones where the bioroids came out of, and then he came out of this big one, this one here in the center. But the only pod that seems to have anything else in it is Bliss's, from what you can tell.
Okay.
When you get over Petra to the pod, you can see that she has what look like these kind of implants running out of the back of her head, and they seem to be wired into the stasis pod's sort of mechanical system. So they seem to be connected in some way, and she seems to be connected to it. And so at the moment, it seems like she's just attached, basically. And that's what you're able to tell as you look at her. She doesn't seem to be dead, but she's very much almost, as she kind of hangs there looking a little bit like a puppet, she almost seems to be doing this as if she were floating in water, even though she's obviously not floating, but that may be what she's imagining, perhaps.
Kind of Ghost in the Machine.
Yep.
Looking.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm gonna sort of like look at Aramis running, look at Petra, look at Aramis running, look at Petra, yell in Valna vulgarities, and then run to Petra and see if I can help. And specifically, I'm wondering if I can make any kind of like mechanical check or medicine check to see if I can. I mean,
your choice. Like which one? Because I mean, it'll depend on what you do. Will change what you're looking at.
Yeah, it's like I guess what I would like to say is my goal is to detach her. So like whichever one looks like the right choice there. Probably mechanical.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
Yes. Quite right. So go ahead and make that roll for me, please. And Chad, I will move the dice roller. Bear with me. Okay. All right.
Here it comes. It's a 13.
Okay. So a couple things to note. First of all, this is a quite complex, almost surgical work that has been done. You do think, Sleepwell, you might be able to detach her. You don't think you'll be able to detach her and keep the pod intact, the pod. You're not sure if you can detach her and keep her intact. You know you can't keep the pod intact.
Yeah.
You're not sure if you can keep her intact. Maybe.
And when you say keep her intact, do you mean like I could take a piece of her but not all of her?
The concern, right, because it's attached to her, basically her brain. The concern is you're not 100% sure how exposed these sockets that have been placed into her brain are. They, you're not sure if like you can just pull them out and then it's just kind of like to jump out of game for a minute, the Matrix thing, you know, where Neo pulls the thing out of it.
Right.
You don't know if it's that or if it's something where doing that is going to literally create biological damage and that she needs this pod to survive. Now, you do know that Laris came out of the pod the exact same way that she did. I mean, she'd be able to if she were not lying there. But he came out of the same pod. And his pod looks messed up. Like, he obviously, when he broke free, when the doors open, he was like, and like wires kind of, you know, the pod is destroyed. He wasn't. So maybe the same thing would be the case with her.
Yeah, it's just an odd setup, you know. So I'm thinking out loud. I'm saying things like, you know, who would set up, you know, something that would be destroyed upon exit? Like,
right.
Clearly, Baladin must have had a plan to go back in there if he needed to. Otherwise, why was he in there? It's very strange. I'm basically saying this to Petra,
yep.
you know, as I'm, you know, fiddling around with wires, and then I say like, I'm not sure if I could pull her out completely safely, and if we had more time, I might be able to look more, but. Alfred, are you there? You know, just trying to.
Just.
Yeah. Okay.
I think she'd probably rather be down than hanging up there, so.
Yeah, we can't leave her here, so maybe don't detach the wires from her, but maybe. And Kaz just kind of like looks up in his scope and sees all these wires hanging down and says, "Can you cut the wires and maybe we can deal with disconnecting the wires from her later?"
I mean, I can try. I don't know if that's going to be 6 of one, half dozen of the other in terms of like the damage, but like,
yeah,
I do, you know, have, you know, the means to cut these things. I think so. Okay. You know, it's October 1st, so that would mean that inspirations have reset.
That's true.
I decide to perform the medical procedure of my life, Jack. Of my life. Perhaps some generous soul out there is thinking, you know, this Ludicrous Sleepwell, he's a little, you know, precarious in some situations, but he has a good heart. Perhaps this would be a time for inspiration to fall upon well-meaning soul.
Chat, will inspiration fall upon them? Now, I have not had a chance to reset inspirations yet, but I will keep it in mind. You know, I know the deal. So, does anyone have one that they want to use? I know that Nonstop has got one because it's the beginning of the month, but it's up to you. No one has to use anything if they don't want to.
You know,
it's entirely up to you.
We can,
you know?
we can let her die. You know, that's up to you.
Yeah, just keep in mind, chat, this is on you. Prince Justin has inspired Sleepwell. So I imagine just like in American football, like Sleepwell's like, you know, like,
oh my god.
Oh man, thank you, Prince Justin. I'm sure that Bliss also thanks you.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll see. Actually, depending on what you do, watch as he's like, oh, whoops. So what we're gonna do here is now. It depends on what procedure you're doing to try to get rid of her, to try to release.
I'm not trying to get rid of her.
I'm just kidding. No, whether or not you're going to try to disconnect her, or whether you're going to like, how do you want to approach it? Because that will change the check.
Yeah. So basically, what I want to do is put the least risk possible on her biological parts. So I do think actually Cosmoritis had the right idea to try to just like cut the wires free and with time and patience be able to remove things. So basically just try to free her safely. So like, you know, doing a solid like medical check, but trying to as safely as possible remove her from that
'Kay.
pod, but keep as much biological connection intact.
Here's how we'll do that. We're going to have you make a medicine check. If the medicine check succeeds, then you can do the mechanics check at advantage. If it doesn't succeed, then you will get it at... If it just doesn't succeed normally, if it's a fail, but it's not a terrible fail, then you won't get it'll just be a flat roll. And if you completely flub it, then it will be at disadvantage. So this check that you're doing, assuming you want to use your inspiration on this one, you can get advantage on this medicine check to do all those other things that I just mentioned.
I think I will do that.
Okay. That sounds good. Oh, also one note, Petra, if you want to, because Bliss is like hanging there, so when he tries to do this, if she's not otherwise like maintained, she's just like a puppet go, like fall to the ground.
Well,
so
I'm definitely try to assist and hold up as I can.
Okay. I wasn't saying really get rid of her, Timaeus. Why would I ever say that? Okay. So, all right. Go ahead. We're going to see this medicine check at advantage.
Check, or roll the first. Pretty good.
All right.
Roll the second.
Whoa!
Natural 20! That's what you gave me, man! Natural 20!
Natural 20.
Super
Awesome.
duper.
Nice
Success.
work, Prince
To
Justin.
use the technical language.
All right, so you tell me what this looks like as you cut loose the... So, actually, no, I'm sorry. Now you're going to get an advantage. So, but just tell me, like, what's going through your mind as you're visualizing how to cut the wires
Right.
with the thing, with the
So,
stuff?
so you know that meme where like calculus is swimming around the head and someone figuring out like basically like it all comes together and I turn the whole universe into one elegant formula. You know,
It's all wireframe.
It's all
Like,
just like,
somewhere Iron Man is like, what the...
you know,
It's like-
you know, I see in 6 dimensions.
Yeah.
I act in 12 of them.
Wow.
Like, this is going extremely well.
Sleepwell gains a level from this.
Sal. Hey, Rock God.
So now
That's
I
fine.
feel like I've really got it under control.
Okay.
So like with that check, do I feel like I could, for instance, like do I feel that I know how to detach her safely, or do I not?
Yes, you think you will be able to, although you still got to make the check for it, but you'll do it at advantage. You think you can disconnect her, especially because it doesn't look like as much had been done to her yet as was done to Laris, or that he did to himself.
Right.
It does, however, still remain the case that you're positive you will not be able to save the pod in doing this to the extent that you care.
Okay.
You think you'll be able to help her, but the pod is going to be sort of broken free, and it occurs to you, because of the amazingness of this check, that it seems to you that what Baladin might have been trying to do was he was adjusting this for the test subject that went into the pod. The bioroids are extremely different, obviously, than someone like Bliss would be, and certainly different than he himself would be. So he was doing something to adjust this in each case. If you had to guess, Sleepwell, you think that these pods were only intended for single use, because in each of the cases, the use was such that the person was literally infused with the synthetic nature of the computerized stuff around them. The implications of this are staggering, because it suggests that literally what Laris had created was a different life form, and that's what he was trying to do with Bliss.
So yeah, I won't share all of this right now. There's just
You're like, guess what?
It's like the pod is a womb, almost.
Say,
It's like it's time for an info dump.
Yeah, exactly.
Sit around, folks.
Kaz, what did you say? Sorry.
I said it almost sounds like the pod is a womb.
Yep.
W-O-M-B. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I'm so desperately trying not to go Sephiroth. Dun, 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 dun. It's Genova, and okay. Anyway, all right. So that now you can do that
So now,
at
you know,
advantage.
I say, I can see it, you know, and I'm going to try to detach her with absolute safety.
Okay.
Here. Okay. That's an 18. So 26 is total.
Okay. Yes. So you were able to disconnect it. As you disconnect each wire, there's a almost sounds like a little suction releasing, and you can see that there are little jacks that have been placed in the back of her head. But it looks as if those jacks were not necessarily intended. Right. Too late. I did already do it. It's true, Trivet. It looks to you as if those jacks were. The way you would describe it, Sleepwell, is that the jacks that you see in the back of her head look as if they are layered, as if he had implanted something, waited however long, and then implanted a second one.
Oh.
It looks as if he was trying to evolve this thing into the back of her head. He was trying to make her more a part of
Right.
this, but did not have time to do so. So
So basically, you know, when the last suction releases, I make the face, that orgasmic face that Luke Skywalker makes when he finally shoots the little bomb down the Death Star. It's just like, you know, and just let her sort of like fall into Petra's arms and just kind of like, like,
Yeah.
oh god.
Petra, she feels quite heavy, and much heavier than she would appear, and also a complete dead weight, as if she's just utterly just hanging there. But she's not stiff as if she were. She's definitely not dead. She seems to be somewhat right. Yes, she seems to be still sort of like entranced or something like that. But she is. But she's definitely not dead. Okay. So, as you are holding her, and actually, are you just laying her on the ground, Petra, or what are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, lay her gently on the ground, yes.
Okay. So you kind of lay her on the ground, and she just, sort of lies. And every so often you see her body still kind of, not twitching exactly, but sort of moving this way. Yeah, and I think we'll come back to that. Okay. In the meantime, Aramis, you are running up to try to get to the upper levels, I believe.
Right.
So how are you? Just like running to the elevator and then taking it up, or how are you doing it?
I'm going back the path that we took.
Okay.
To go up the elevator, and if I remember correctly, the elevator that we took only went down. Right. It was from the level above to this one. There wasn't a way to get back to the level that Alfred was on.
Cable or something? 'Cause
Yeah, right. When you first went down there, sorry, my thing is having trouble loading this page. It's almost there. Wait a second. Come on, roll 20. Don't fail me now.
Yeah, we dropped down the
right, it was like
the
stuck
shaft.
and we just dropped down.
Right. And
I didn't know if there was a
that-
cable that you could handle.
There was I thought, yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a cable that you climbed down,
Well,
but
so we climbed down one. That
Right.
was actually Zach's grappling hook.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry,
that's right,
Sorry,
that's
that was Kaz's grappling hook.
right.
And then there was another elevator that we went down after we soothed the beasts. And
Right.
that's how we ended up here.
Right.
So I'm assuming that second elevator, that's the one I'm running for right now.
Right, that's right. And yes, and actually
That one goes up,
that one goes up. Yeah, so that
That
second one goes up. Now there is that you have not tried to go. If you look at your map here, I think I brought you to it. Yeah, if you look at the map right here, none of you have gone this way. Because presumably there is another elevator over here symmetrically based on what you know above you. However, that's also the part of the base that has the guards in it, from what you know, the Obsidian Knights. This is the one that you went to before. So I'm mentioning that since you weren't sure about the next level up. There is an elevator here, but it's the next level that's the question.
Yeah, so I'm going to head back that direction. I'm going to head back towards the elevator that we did take to come to this particular level.
All right.
And then head up.
Okay. So when you get up there and you press the button, you head up, and you head up to level 2. Okay.
That's weird how it's not loading.
He heads up to level 10.
Yes, level 2 plus level 8.
Yeah.
No, level 10. Okay. And that brings us to, let's make sure that you're on the right one. Yeah, you should be on level 2 with me.
That's
so, right, so this is you. We do not ignore Petra and the rest of these folks because they are not there at the moment, nor is the egg. The only one who is there is Aramis. Okay. Aramis, when you come up here, you do not see the 2 bioroid creatures, but you do hear a sound nearby of them going, making the same sounds that they usually do. And it's coming from this room down here.
Aramis is just going to keep pushing forward. He's not even going to care.
Even going to pay attention? Okay,
Yeah.
so he's going to run down. Okay, that will bring you all the way to this elevator, and this is where we get to the grappling hook thing that you were talking about
Right.
with Kaz.
And if I remember correctly, Kaz actually pulled his grappling hook. What else is in
Yeah, I took it back.
Yep. At the moment, the only thing that's in the elevator shaft is basically like the broken down, if you remember, they shot electricity up at Petra, I believe it was at the time. So it's kind of, you just see the shaft above you. You can, however, as you look up at the shaft up there, you can see from the bottom of that shaft. Make a perception check for me, actually. Let's see what you see.
1 second.
Let us see what you see.
You will see what you see when you see it.
How about a 14?
Okay. So what you see above you now is no longer the kind of flickering light, sort of sodium white light that you saw down here. What you see is a pulsing red, 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 like that. A pulsing red light coming from above.
Can I infer that it's like an alert or some sort of like...
You're not sure about that because if it was an alert, A, you think there would be some kind of a sound, and B, it's not clear to you that this is coming from like a flashing... You didn't see any light like this coming in. In fact, you don't know what this would have come from because there was nothing obvious. But it could be, yeah, it might be. But you didn't see anything that would have produced this light when you came in.
Look, we've all watched the same movies, okay? Everybody turns off the sound first, right? The light's always
I can't
annoying,
get the
but
sound
everybody
working
gets-
on my computer. I mean, I ought to know all about it.
All right, so Aramis is going to cast this neat little talent that he has called Jump. It's a level 1 spell, or a level 1 talent.
Is this going to be like Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace? Where it's just like, whoosh, like up on the thing?
So
The best thing ever.
That's
here's
great.
the problem with that particular... so I can jump the number of feet... High jump is the number of feet minus... sorry, it's +3 minus my strength modifier.
Okay.
So it really doesn't work all that well, but it gives me 3 times the amount of jump. And what I'm basically trying to do is I'm trying to jump and climb and jump and climb and jump and climb.
What are you grabbing as you jump?
What are the sides of the elevator shaft look like?
Mostly metal.
I've got
there-
to imagine that there are purchases.
There is, well, not really. The inside of a shaft generally has the sort of, it's fairly smooth. However, there is something, Aramis, but it's a little bit of a, I don't know if you're going to want this. There are, when the elevator went down and the door was shot out with the electricity of those creatures down below,
Okay.
it left certain little jagged bits of metal above.
Well,
You
that's
think you could maybe grab them, but you're grabbing onto jagged pieces of metal. You don't know whether that's going to be. Now they may look twisted. I'm not actually telling you that you see knife blades that you can grab onto, but they may be a little painful.
How far up is it?
The shaft is about, I think it's like 20 feet from floor to floor. So it would be about 7-8 feet to one piece, and then like another 7-8 feet to the next, and then the top.
But I can see the opening at the other side of this?
Yes.
All right, I'm just going to phase shift there instead.
Okay.
Wow.
Awesome. So you're like,
Aramis is just like, oh.
I like the image of the cameras. Like, I love the cameras like focused on the metal and down in the metal, and it's like it's somewhere.
That's funny.
Yeah, exactly. Shoots the guy with the whip. Okay, so you just phase shift. So you phase shift to the top, and when you phase shift to the top, you are greeted by not a particularly pleasant sight. What you see in front of you, and let me switch this over to the hangar. So what you see in front of you, Aramis, is not Petra, and
Definitely not cause.
is definitely not Kaz. No, that's not Kaz, actually. That was what we were using as the stand-in for Alfred.
Oh, right, okay.
So, and we're going to move that back here. Okay. So, what you see sitting here is there was the shuttle over here. Okay. So, these 2 drones that you saw before, the ones that were going back and forth that you had to worry about, are gone. And this ship, I'm trying to remember what the heck this ship is. I think this is maybe the one that you took here.
Right.
Okay. So, that ship is basically twisted and listing and on the ground, and it's from, and you can see that there's like little bzz, 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 bzz. This thing has very recently been blown up, attacked by something, and lying underneath the wreckage of this thing is, you see the arm of what probably is Alfred, and from underneath the wreckage you can see some glowing, pulsing red coming from him somewhere. and he's not moving.
What else is in the room? Anything?
From what you can tell, there doesn't seem to be anything obviously up in the room yet. But that's just sort of a quick cursory look around. There could be anyone ready to ambush you, or maybe not. It's not clear. But you don't see anything from your vantage point here yet, other than what I've just described.
Aramis moves to Alfred to figure out what's going on, and to see if he's the source of the light, and to check to see if he's functional in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. When you get to him, you can see that he is lying, as I said, sort of half crushed under the ship, and you can also see there is some smoke rising from different parts of him. He has had massive holes blasted in him, probably the same time with the ship, and the light is indeed coming from somewhere inside his chest, which has been shot open, and there is this sort of glowing sort of red light, and his just lying there like this, and as you sort of like lean over him, his you see his face kind of moving, and did you get her? Did you find her?
Aramis leans close and says, "Yeah, we've got her. How are you?"
I'm better now that you told me. They came for me. They're, and he kind of reaches up and he grabs your arm, Aramis, and then he kind of pulls you down like he wants you to, like, come down and lean next to him, and he says, "You're almost found everything now. You've unlocked the door. Get them." And he's looking up this way, like not even really at you. Find the way in the door. And stop. They'll destroy everything. And then he sort of, his eyes kind of like with huge effort focus back on you, and he says, "Tell Bliss I loved her." And then he just stops and stares, and the light goes out. And it looks to you just very quickly as if the ship, Alfred, have been obliterated by long-range heavy fire, not blaster fire from blaster guns or even rifles. This had to be from a ship. Something came to the edge of the hangar, must have been, and fired into the hangar to do this.
Aramis starts looking around for the other ship and see if there's anything else going on, and at the same time gets on the comm and says, "Somebody please tell me you guys have Bliss."
We've got Bliss. She, we've got her.
As you're looking around, you do see the shuttle that you saw before, which is this thing right over here.
Right.
That doesn't seem to have been moved, so that's not the ship that we were talking about. But if you, depending on, do you like go all the way to the edge of the hangar? Like, I mean, do you look everywhere, or like just are you confining your search to a particular spot?
Aramis basically takes in the entire situation, the entire setting, and as he's doing that, he says, "I don't know what took out our ship. I don't know. Alfred, we've got a man down here. Get your butts up here as quickly as possible. We need to get out of this place. Whatever it is, took out our ship and Alfred without even coming, as far as I can tell, in the hangar."
We're on our way.
And Aramis is going to do everything he can to secure that hangar and secure that ship.
Okay. The one remaining ship, you mean?
correct.
Okay. Yeah, this remaining ship does look functional. It looks as if, and it's not locked either. It looks, from what you can tell, that this is a kind of low orbit transport. So it's designed to basically take off and like basically orbit the planet and maybe get you to another planet within the system. It does not look like it's designed for like intergalactic travel, but it could definitely take you, like low orbit or transfer to another ship. It does not have any obvious laser weapons on it though. It looks like it's like transit only, and it seems to be available. That's definitely not the ship that did it. One thing you do note though, Aramis, make an investigation check for me actually. I want to see how much of this you see. Okay, so 15 is that as you come to the very edge here of the hangar, and you look out, you can see what look like scorch marks basically here on the edge of the cliff face. Because remember the thing like was like switchback and then moved up to here to where the hangar is, and there's scorch marks at the edge of it, which suggests that there were retro thrusters like blasting on the edge to hold it in place when it fired. But you don't see any ship that close. Now, you didn't get up there within 3 seconds, but it didn't take you minutes. You see nothing. You look left, right, up, down, everything. It's either cloaked or it bugged out and it's not there. But it moved fast, and to be able to hover, hold in that spot, fire into the hangar, and then get the hell out that quickly is a ship beyond most capabilities, but not beyond one. There is one ship that can do all of what I just described. And I think you know what the ship is.
Aramis doesn't share any of this information yet, and moves back to the transport and starts to hear, listen for chatter of any kind, any type of radio communication going on.
Okay, silent so far. You need to actually see. It looks like you got to hot wire a little bit to kind of get it fired up, which is, you can do that. You can try to do that.
I would love to do that.
Okay. Go ahead and make I think we're looking at a mechanics check for that too, actually. Okay. Meanwhile, back down below. Okay. Yeah, you are. So you're able to switch things around, and then and when you do, the shuttle kind of like, but then it stays. And what you hear from the radio is a order 3-5 distress. Order 3-5 distress. Order 3-5 distress. It's receiving from somewhere this automated thing which says order 3-5 distress. It's just coming from its radio.
I would like to pipe it into so that they can actually hear that part.
Okay, and you hear what I've just described. Order 3-5 distress.
So at this point, Sleepo's going to go into kind of like full medical mode and say, Petra, can you hold Bliss like this and carry her in this kind of way to basically cradle her neck and kind of ask her to do that? I think you're the strongest and can probably just carry her the easiest. But in the meantime, I'd be like, Aramis, I need you to tell me exactly what you mean by man down. What happened? And I think we're all kind of like moving toward the elevator while this is happening.
Okay.
Yeah. As we're moving as well, Kaz would have gone to the tube that Baludan left and grabbed anything small enough and with a quick cursory glance that looks useful enough to, if we maybe need to do something, we need extra parts that will help heal Bliss later. Kaz is basically just looking for spare parts that are left in either of the pods. He doesn't know if they'll be useful inevitably, but yeah.
Yep, you do actually find one, Kaz, and that is that inside, kind of within the wreckage of the pod, there is a coat. It looks like some kind of a long, Matrixy style coat with sunglasses.
He's like, I already have one of these. He looks at the one he has on.
This is cool. No, this definitely is not in shape anyway. It's kind of ripped, but inside the pockets, though, you find two things. The first is you find what looks like a cred ship Obviously, you don't know how much is
Hell
on it,
yeah.
but it's definitely something.
Yeah.
And then you also find what looks like a larger card. If you had to guess, it's like either a key card or a key chip that's designed to access something. Could be a door, could be a vehicle, something or other. And both of those are in this coat. That's
And
the
that
only.
was in Balyadin's
Yes,
pod?
that was in Balyadin's
Okay.
pod. That's right. Yep.
Okay.
The other pods seem to be pretty much empty and either
Yeah.
smashed or, basically filled with wires, but nothing obvious.
Okay. All right. And is there anything as we're leaving, he's trying to clean up a little bit and maybe save us some time later. So then Kaz kind of goes to the pod that Bliss came out of, and he wants to see if there's anything in there that looks like an important part, or maybe one of the wires that they had to cut as we're now leaving says life support wire must bring with you. I don't know.
Do not leave this wire. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, make an investigation check for me, please.
Okay. All right. +1 to this. That's a 12.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything in there. There's no other equipment that you can see. The wires are kind of a tangled mess, although Sleepwell did an exceptional job in being able to disconnect her. So it's not as much of a mess as Laris's thing was, but there's nothing obvious that you see there. And the stuff that's there is mostly attached into the machine. The thing that strikes you is how much of this is attached to the machine and does not appear to be designed to be detached, right? There's no like cable to cable type of thing. All the cables run into the machine, and that's something you noticed too, Sleepwell. All of them ran into the machine as if these were not intended to be removed.
Okay. All right. With nothing there, then as we're leaving, Kaz then goes to Balyadin's body. Anything notable on his person?
So as you look at Balyadin yourself, one of the things that you note is, so his body, and I won't go too far down this rabbit hole, but his body has multiple ports. So Bliss has those two that I mentioned, but he has multiple ports and jacks and cables all over him, attached in all these places. I mentioned Bliss looking like a marionette. That's basically, he looks like he has these wires and strings that are from him. And it looks to you as if many of them, with a cursory inspection, are newer than other ones are, as if this has been a continual process, Kaz. That he's been doing aspects of this and then coming around and like layering it and attaching it deeper, and like this has been a progressive process of producing this nightmare that you see in front of you now.
Okay.
This is very much, and it's an extraordinary achievement in a lot of ways, but this is very much not a human thing anymore.
Kaz steps past the body, not really seeing much for him, and starts to leave, and seeing Petra and Sleepwell moving ahead of him with Bliss. And then Kaz turns back and looks at Balyadin. And then I know that we're sort of ghosting Z at the moment, but remembers the fact that there are still people that worked for him here. And Kaz would like to bring Balyadin's body with us.
So I'm not going to say that you can't do it, but it's going to be very bulky to manage, because they're all. I mean, it's like carrying Doc. It's like carrying Doc Ock, right? Like it's just all these like cables and wires just hanging off of him.
That does
I
not
believe
sound
in you,
easy.
Kaz. You
Yeah,
can do it.
My memory's not very good with this, but I know for a while we were thinking about converting this guy Ibis, his disc platform that he didn't have a lower half of his body. We were thinking of making it into a shield. And Sleepwell and I had our little side quest where we were investigating that for a while. I have a vague memory that I think we visited Spindra, and Spindra fixed the disc platform so that it floats again.
Right.
But not that it's a shield.
Right.
So
that is the case.
Could I, and I don't know, I guess maybe another idea I have is, although I'm not sure if Z is canonically coming with us, but is like ghosted right
Yeah,
now.
Z
'Cause
seems
maybe
to be
Z
kind
could
of
help.
lost in thought. Z is just sort
Okay.
of,
Right.
Yeah,
you know.
just killed the one person that like
Yep.
was her vendetta. Okay, so ignoring that, then I'll just try to, yeah, I'll still try to take him and use this disc platform because I have it on me. Um,
Okay. All right, you can do all the. He's sort of like, like the cables.
Like pushing
Yeah.
a shopping cart.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Basically,
yeah.
but you
Yeah.
can do that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
this site of Petra walking with Bliss and Sleepwell kind of like tending to her, and behind is Kaz like pushing the cart of like, with the thing behind him. It's a great visual. Okay.
Yeah, it was Black Friday in the Stormdark Basin. This is what I got.
Black
Every
Friday.
cybernetic being must go.
Yes.
Oh man, how much would you cut?
Yeah.
So, okay. So you're able
Yeah.
to move. You're able to bring that stuff over. Petra, I want to note that while this is happening, every so often you feel in your arms, Bliss, kind of twitching. It's not jerking like I'm having a heart, a stroke or something terrible, but there is this sense so often that there's movement, and it almost feels like someone like running in their sleep, or as if they are kind of half movement, and in your dreams might feel like this, but this is the way. So you can feel her arms and legs kind of moving as you carry her.
Okay.
When all of you get over to the elevator, you see that the elevator is up, so you have to call it back down, but you can do that if you wish to.
We do.
I assume you do? Okay. So you
Yeah,
get in
yeah.
the elevator and are heading up to the floor above. Now, when you get to the floor above, which brings us to here, right here, and you're carrying Bliss with you. I'm just going to move you just a second so I can show who's back there. Aramis is not here. Aramis is gone. Okay. I just have to keep moving everyone. Like, you're not there. You're not there. Okay. So as you're moving down with this, you pass by this room, and you hear to your right as you go down in the room, the three of you hear kind of like the sounds of these creatures. And as you go past them, you see the two bioroids that you assisted. They walk over slowly, leaving the nest. And as you are passing by with Bliss's, holding Bliss, they just, for the first time, fall silent. And they watch you slowly as you pass by.
Kaz says to Sleepwell, "Hey, want to bring them with us? I think we're getting out of here."
And I kind of like look to Petra and say like, we did. I mean, you risked your life to try to save them. If we leave them,
Yeah.
are we saving them?
Well,
Also, they're not looking at you, by the way, just be clear, with like with puppy eyes. I mean, I'm not,
if you can figure out a way to communicate that idea to them, but I don't know. I don't know. Curling up and purring is not gonna cut it for this communication, I think.
So, I was thinking as we were walking up here, Bliss is in a kind of catatonic state, and she's definitely been infected with some kind of cybernetic, I don't know what to call it, equipment or something. But I'm wondering, the way that she was connected. I mean, do you remember what they were doing to her back on the Bastion? The way that she was broadcasting. And what I'm thinking, Petra, is that you seem to have had some luck talking to people who have been stuck in these kinds of states. Sometimes they're ascension ships that you were able to reach out to. Sometimes, I guess I'm wondering, like, do you think you can make a connection with maybe wherever Bliss is right now?
I can certainly give it a try.
I think it might be worth it. Because clearly they have some connection. I'm pointing to the cyber dino beasts, and I'm just like, clearly they have some kind of connection. So she could be our conduit if we can make this happen.
All right. So we'll take Bliss, lay her down on the floor carefully,
Okay.
and then Petra's going to try, she's going to kind of kneel down beside Bliss and put her fingertips on Bliss's temple and try to reach out to her.
Okay. You, Petra, as you do this, you don't really get a sense of any kind of communication the way you typically have with when you're in contact, for example, with the hyperlance. You did at one point have that sort of connection that you were able to make with the terminals here. There's just a kind of stillness about them, and there's a stillness about the bioroids, but you don't get that sensation at all from Bliss. Even when you connect with the bioroids, you were able to connect with them at some level. There's kind of it's not exactly a stasis, but there is a calmness, not actually dead, don't panic, deadness to the quality of her sort of demeanor. You do notice that she, as you put your fingers on her temple, although you can't communicate with her, you do notice that the twitching that I mentioned before seems to also be lessening. And there's less of that, and her breathing seems to be becoming more regular and less shallow, and she's not doing that same twitching that she was before.
Okay. I'll say I can't reach her, but she seems to be recovering to a certain extent. Look, her breathing's better now, at least.
Okay. Well, now I'm looking back at the cyber dinos and
We're just
like, and then because Sleepwell is always full of ideas. It turns to Kaz and says, there was that hatch we couldn't open before, but didn't you pull a key card off of stupid Laris? Did you pull? Can we open that door now?
Yeah, I hold it out.
I'm just thinking, at least we can give the dinos a fighting chance, and release them unto the other terrible people who are in here.
I like the idea of giving them a fighting chance.
Yeah, so we don't want to try to bring them on the ship?
Can we talk them into coming on the ship? That's my question, is can we communicate to them, hey, come on the ship? Because I think that's the part that I'm...
Maybe, will they... Are those eggs, still... real is not the word. Alive?
Yeah, they seem to be. They seem to have been doing a bang-up job with the nest until, thanks to training the Sleepwell method.
Yeah.
I think if there's anyone here, maybe... we don't have to take them, but that would be my preference. Because if we leave them here, they're probably going to get killed in some manner. Or starve to death or something, if they even eat anymore. So maybe Sleepwell, I think you're the only person with your dancing expertise and ability to talk to animals. Maybe you try to take their eggs very gently.
He's Dr. Doolittle. He's Dr. Doolittle. He's Dr. Doolittle. He's a Dr. Doolittle cat. He's a Dr. Cat Little.
Yeah,
That's what he is.
Cat Doodle.
And just to be clear,
I could talk
supposing
to
that
the
that
animals.
that I go past 2 cyber dinosaurs, take their eggs from them, and then try to dance, communicate with them, so that I
Yes,
can tell them that I want
yes,
to
in
call
a
them
very,
back. So we
in
can
a
all go
very
sleep. This is the
gentle
plan.
way. You know, you don't go up there and try to, like a thief. You know, no, you're not gonna do that. Just like, you know, sort of.
I thought he said this is the
Corral
way.
them out.
Which was?
Leaving your eggs in a gentle, loving way. That's
Yes,
what you
yes, yes. It's all about the way you do it.
Worst plan I've ever. I love it. It's just, of course, Kaz is delivering this with his straight star person face.
Yes,
And,
yeah.
Exactly, Timaeus. What could possibly go wrong?
Sleepwell is seriously considering it. Like, Sleepwell is just like, yeah.
And the creatures just.
Right. So, I do still have my little egg droid with me. It's been, sort of
Yes.
just, like following along.
Yes, that's right. I should put it over with you.
And so, alright, so I'm, Sleepwell is thinking hard. I think this thing can hover. I don't quite remember all the stats on it. I think it's like a little hovery droid thing.
Right.
So, here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So,
He
Sleepwell,
prepares to construct some mechanics. Yes.
So, I do some quick stretching exercises, as I get ready to do the
Montage.
performance of my life here.
Right. The creature's watching him passively the whole
Right,
time.
exactly. And so,
Yeah, they're just tilting their heads back and forth.
so what I say is like, Petra, I'm going to need you to pretend you are leading me once I begin this dance, and I'm going to follow you. Can you do that? That's all you have to do.
Wait, you want me to pretend what?
You're going to pretend that you were leading me, say, toward the ship. Once I finish my interpretive dance, your job is to do this. Kaz, you're going to fall in line right behind me, and we're
Okay.
going to be going toward the ship. Okay.
All right.
So here,
I
So just the timing has to be right here, folks. So in the meantime, well, sachets over to in front of the dinosaurs, egg and toe.
Kaz will grab his chameleon coat and put it onto Sleepwell, and will make
Oh.
the chameleon coat look more like a bioroid, like he blends in with them. I don't know.
Oh,
Why not?
I feel like no, just do James Brown. That's all right. Just give me the James Brown.
I was going to say, Arv
Okay.
immediately goes to look at how much this chameleon coat can do. All right.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Okay. So that's fine. So you come over and you're doing what now?
So what I'm doing is I put the egg down.
Yeah.
My egg droid down, and in an attitude that matches one of the eggs. So like how it might be at a 30-degree angle or something.
Yeah.
So I have it like tilted in that way, and then mimicking their motions, I like curl up next to it, sort of like reminding them of the lesson that we had learned before. Like,
Right, and
all
they
good
kind of,
instructors, like so I'm watching it, and then what I do, I'm commanding the droid here to do this to help me, but I bite the droid, and I put it in my mouth, and I lift it, and it's a glorious moment. I
Oh,
hold
no.
the guard up.
Oh
And
no.
then walking as best as I can, like a robot dinosaur, I get
It's
behind
like a duck.
Petra,
Mhm.
and I follow her. It's like, go, 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 go. Go. Here's your cue. Patrick.
Oh.
Patrick, come on.
Okay.
Here's your cue. Go. Go, Marky.
Kaz and Petra just look at each other. And
Oh, all right.
yeah.
And we begin to lead
Yes.
robot dinosaurs. Or come with us,
Yes.
No.
pantomime robot dinosaur.
Mhm. We do our best.
Dino robot-y.
I have
We do our
no
best
idea what
conga
check
line.
to ask for at all. What is this check? What check exists? A dance check.
Performance.
Make a,
Performance, survival.
it's got to be
Yeah.
performance. Yeah.
It's
Performance.
obviously
Let's make a
astrophysics.
performance check.
All right. Well.
What are we even trying to? And to be clear, like, I know the overall concept, but like what's the micro arc of what you're trying to do here?
What I'm trying to do is to get them to pick up their own eggs in their mouths and follow us.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, I know, a ludicrous prospect, but there was no way I was going to try to take my eggs out.
Prospect.
I don't want to die. But I'm like, but if they take their eggs and follow us, wouldn't that be great?
All right. I'm gonna have you make a performance check. This doesn't guarantee they're gonna know what the hell you're talking about, but have you make a performance check for me, please.
Does he get
And I'm actually gonna have
helping him?
Petra also make a performance
Yeah, we're
check.
helping him.
Yeah.
Let's all make a performance check.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly Petra and Sleepwell should be. I don't know if Kaz is, because Kaz, I don't know, are you doing this or just kind of like?
Well, yeah. He asked me to take part.
Yeah.
I'm in the back. I'm the caboose of the conga line.
Let me get a performance check from both from everybody then, except for Aramis.
Okay.
Who, as was pointed out by Timaeus, has been mourning Alfred this entire time. I'd be like, I wonder what they're doing.
Transforming a conga line.
Thriller dance going on.
I've got a natural 20.
It's just true. What are they doing here?
I got a 12.
Aramis gets pissed at
Very
them.
nice
It's something
12.
from Pop culture.
Right,
You know?
right.
Because this is omelet.
Okay. Here we go.
Omelet.
Okay. Solid
all right.
12.
Yeah,
12.
me and
So-
Sleepwell are on the same wavelength, and Petra has a nat 20.
I was
so.
just going to say, to be clear, Petra was made for this dance. I mean, Petra is just like,
Hidden
you know,
talent
like
uncovered.
in time, like the grace, the style, you know, like the hammers, even the little electrical sparks from her hammer seem to merge with the flow of her arms as she slides around. And like, so she's doing this while meantime, you know, Kaz is basically like, like
Doing the robot version.
and Sleepwell is like, you know, so the Bioroid's reaction is,
Right.
Bioroids have no idea what you're doing at all.
Oh, okay.
What a waste.
Oh,
It was so
yeah.
good.
Try.
It was tremendous work by Petra, let me just say.
That is, wow. That is, yeah, wow. So, you know, at this point, I don't think it's working. Yeah, 'cause
I it's not.
Kaz will go up to one of the Bioroid eggs and lay his hand on it and see if they do anything.
They turn to you, and one of them goes,
I take my hand off and say, well, guys, I guess we gotta go.
Well, yep,
Yeah, sorry. We can't really do this right now.
Yeah, so what do you think about Plan B then? Like opening that gate?
Oh, yeah. Maybe we can do that. I didn't hear you clearly the first time, but that is a good idea. Kaz will look for a way. But yeah, assuming that this sort of place right here in the kind of the top right of it, assuming that door goes to somewhere else.
this does not seem to go to that door.
Oh, the ship that I have doesn't seem to go to that door?
Correct. This does not look to be like a universal key. It seems to be, it's clearly a key chip of some kind, but it doesn't seem to go to that door.
Can I tell what sort of mechanism it goes into? Is it a USB-C? Is
Yeah,
it a,
exactly. It's a Thunderbolt cable, and we.
okay.
It is no. It's it definitely looks like a key chip, but it looks smaller, and it does not look to. Let me have you make. Let me have you make a computer.
Mechanics.
I think I'm going to have you make a
computers,
computer check for this. Yes, let me have you make a computers check, please.
Okay.
Kaz.
All right. Not too much on this. Yeah, 7.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It seems it's very much not designed for this door, but what it is designed
Okay.
for, you're not sure.
All right. I shake my head to sleep well and say, I think we gotta go.
Yeah.
We tried.
Okay. You know, Good luck, friends. And we just continue on, I guess.
As you do that, you kind of go down the hallway, and you hear this behind you, and you kind of look over your shoulder, and you can see that the two are now in the hall, just sort of staring at you. When you get all the way back to the elevator here, you get back to the spot where you see what I've described before, a shaft. There's these metal pieces, and that's it. There's there's nothing obviously easy to climb up there for the three of you.
The
four of you counting Bliss. Sorry. Oh yeah, that's right. So you're able to use your grapple gun, and that is up and secured. You're gonna have to figure out a way though to pull Petra, like whoever's carrying Bliss, to pull her up.
Maybe one of us sleep go up first because you're not carrying anything, and then you can
serve as a
support
relay
because
and help.
Okay.
So I'll go up first, get to the top, and then I'll basically be leaning down, ready to take and.
You can. So Petra, I assume, is still carrying Bliss. So who's up next then? Kaz, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the disc platform floats.
Yeah.
Because when we fought Ibis, I remember a big aspect of the fight against him was that he was floating around shooting us with stuff on the disc platform.
Yeah, although it hovers, but I don't think it necessarily can rise. There's a certain buffer if you think of it as like being on a cushion of air, like a hovercraft. So I don't actually think it lifts up like this way. I mean, you can like hold it on your hands to push it up further, but it needs some purchase on something.
Okay. I'll try a variety of options. I'll try to bring it up with me if I can, and then if it's too heavy, maybe we can make like a pulley system.
Well, but does the grapple gun work? Like, does the grapple gun reel you in? Because can you just like hold on to the disc and
it doesn't say exactly. We'll go to page. It can support up to 2 people's weight. Though.
Yeah, I would say that you could. I would say that it could do this. It's a little dangerous, but it's almost like one of those extendable measuring tapes that
Exactly.
So I would say it could do that. It's a little dangerous, but you could probably do it, Kaz.
Yeah, so there's 50 feet of a strong, thin climbing cable coiled within the base. Actually, in order to fire it and tether it to a surface, I need to do a dexterity check.
I was going to have you do one anyway, so you might as well do it now.
Okay. All right. When you use the device, you ignore strength rolls required for climbing checks. It can hold up to 2 people without snapping.
Okay.
And that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is just a dexterity check, it says.
Okay.
So that'll be not too great. 13.
Okay. So yeah, that's fine. You're able to get up there without too much difficulty.
Yeah. Okay.
And you do that and pull the disc up, and the last one is then Petra holding Bliss, who I assume is like relayed up with a combination of the grapple gun. When Petra gets about halfway up the shaft, you hear this, and the door here, there's a flash of light. And suddenly, someone breaks through it, or something.
Oh, no.
And you see a couple of dark uniformed, helmeted figures come over to the shaft and look up. And they point at Petra, and they're like, "You, come down." And it's modulated through the voice helmet. "Come down now." But before you can say anything, Petra, and there's like a couple of them, and you see there's a couple more behind them, like 4 of them kind of with laser rifles. One of them seems like looks this way and turns around to face behind them, and then, "Hey, no, wait, hey!" And suddenly there's like electrical zaps. And as Petra goes up the rest of the way, there is laser fire and electricity. And Petra, just looking back down the shaft, can see there's one moment where you see one of the bioroids, its face lit up by a combination of blaster fire and electricity before it looks back down and you pull yourself over the edge. And I think that's a good spot to take a break. The power of dance. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take Unbelievable.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick break here, folks. You're watching the extremely entertaining crew of Esper Genesis. Not what I would have expected. This is day 68 of
Yeah.
Esper Genesis Stormfall from Origins with the power of Artbox 2.0. If you like what you've seen and heard, please make sure to follow the channel and do all that good stuff. And we will be right back at you in about 5 minutes. Hang tight, and we will be back.
Perfect.
All right, I'm gonna go grab water.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We have solved many problems, it is important to note, including... Oh, I see
Macs are better
the...
than PCs.
We've decided that Mac users definitely have a feeling about this, and I think that's important to recognize. Yeah, so give me a second because apparently we've switched windows around for some reason. I see Petra. Let's see. Wait, did we lose somebody? No, we did. Oh. No, we didn't lose anybody. But for some reason, I'm showing... I lost Kaz's window. I wonder if anybody left when they weren't supposed to. Oh, sorry, yes. I have to unmute you. Sorry about that.
I've aged 80 years since the last time.
Sorry.
It's us.
Sorry about that. I unmuted
Yeah.
you.
You guys were having that whole Mac conversation. Here I am running on a Mac Pro. Perfect real estate to take part in the conversation. But no, muted the whole time. I see how it is.
Sorry, Zach. I knew you'd be there to back me up.
Zach, I have to
Yes,
give
I
you...
would.
Zach, I have to give you at some point, I have to play for you Russ's take on Macs and how they do things, where everything is just dragged to trash. So one of his
Yeah.
routines had him imagine this idiocracy thing where, like, in the future, I don't know how to do anything. Drag sadness to trash. Drag anger to trash. Drag frustration to trash. It was pretty great. It was pretty great. All right. So welcome back, everybody. And my apologies for accidentally muting Kat and Zach. So welcome back, folks. We'll be with you for about another half hour, a little bit over that, about 30, 35 minutes. Right at the end of, just before we went on break, we had this moment where the Bioroids were looking up and basically battling the soldiers, the Obsidian Knights. And so, Aramis, what you hear up on the level where you are is you hear this pew pew pew, basically laser fire coming from down below, and then you see, first of all, you saw Sleepwell. As you turn around, you see Sleepwell standing above the elevator shaft all the way on the other side of the hangar, and you see him kind of hauling up frantically, and then you see Kaz, and then you see them hauling up, and you don't see Petra yet or Bliss, but it looks like Kaz and Sleepwell are occupied.
Aramis immediately moves into action and goes to help Kaz do whatever he needs to do, and turns to Sleepo and he says, "You need to go check him out," and points to Alfred.
I just run. I just run right to Alfred.
Okay. So Alfred is just, dull, dead, no light, and you can see that he's crushed Sleepwell under this half-destroyed ship. There's also massive blaster holes through him, and these are like this large, like again the size of diameter of ship fire, not like regular blaster fire.
So here's what I'd like to try to do.
Okay.
With all the knowledge, because I've been working on Alfreds and Alfred bodies for a while now, of different configurations. I want to see if there's anything I can extract from this crushed body that would allow recovery of memory, of possibly even recreation of
Smart.
like a ROM chip or anything like that would allow me to preserve any piece of the identity that was in this body.
Okay. The one thing that you can probably retrieve that looks salvageable in some respect is, you may remember that there was a spot, I was just going to say, you might be able to sort of pry it open now. The problem is that he's kind of like, there's the metal of the ship, and there is a little bit of a danger here, Sleepwell, because to move him enough that you can get access to that means you are, like, because as you move it, this ship is like, very, like, precarious, right, where you are. And there is a little bit of a concern that the whole thing could just fall on top of you.
So, as a player, I understand that. As a character...
You don't care?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's just... if it falls on me, it falls on me.
Okay. So I will ask you to make... All right, I'm going to ask you to make a strength check then. If you have athletics, I'll take that, because you're kind of... it's not dexterity here. You're really just trying to, like, get him moved out of the way of the ship.
It's an 11.
Yeah. So you pull, and the ship like leans even more this way, and then there's as if it's sort of stuck. He is not. You can't move him on your own from beneath the ship.
And just to be
And he's
clear,
been on, and he's on the ground like this. So there's you can't like. You have to turn him over basically. And right now he's like this. You're pulling on his arm, to kind of get him as far out as you are. But he's not. He's just absolutely pinned under this stuff.
And there's no way to just like lift his head.
Not really.
Okay.
Like even if you pull it up, like you can't go up enough to get him to that spot because he's literally pinned on the ground like
Right.
this.
Okay.
Now you could get in it another way, like if you want to use a laser and like drill through like one side of his head to maybe get to the chip. But those are all.
Yeah.
That's a difficult procedure.
I think at this point, instead, I'm just going to be waiting for other people to maybe help me extract him.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I'm going to kind of do, not knowing what you did.
Make
I'm
a
gonna kinda,
chamber roll.
I'm just going to look around and see if I can recreate the crime scene, so to speak, because like he was at the computer console.
Yes.
And he must have been blasted back or something. So like I'm going to try to just sort of like map out what's happened.
Make an investigation. Yes, make an investigation check, please.
Is that intelligence?
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
You're like, you turn around and you're like, there's been blaster fire here.
There's been a murder.
He's
Man
dead,
down.
Jim.
Must have been the wind.
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, I mean, so, I'm kind of doing the same thing, but badly, that Aramis did.
I mean, the one thing that you do know, you can say even with a bad check, you need Kaz to Jenga him out of the pile, yes. That's true, because Kaz would certainly know how to do that. The Tower of Doom. But the one thing you know for sure, though, almost certainly, Sleepwell, is that the same blaster fire that destroyed him is the same blaster fire that destroyed the ship. And if you had to guess, the blaster fire basically just blasted a hole right through the hull of the ship and right into Alfred.
Okay.
And also that means it does raise a question in your mind, which is, were they aiming for the ship? Did they even see Alfred? Or did they just,
They're just trying to take out the transport.
Who knows?
Yeah, so. All right, well, I'm going to wallow in my ignorance for a while other people do things.
Sounds good. So
Sounds
good.
great.
Sounds good.
I can tell you from experience, wallowing in ignorance is fantastic.
Aramis, all right, you go over and you said you're going to help them, and you can see that Kaz is lifting. And there's two things here. First of all, you notice that there's the shield, the anti-grav platform, and the body of Laris Baladin is on top of it with all of his cables and stuff draped over it. That's like next to Kaz. But Kaz is leaning down and pulling up on this rope, and there's Petra with Bliss. And down below you can see and hear blaster fire and screams and then and growling from creatures, and there's clearly fighting going on below.
Aramis looks to Kaz and says, "We need to get them up here right now, and then we need to find cover. This is bad." And just
Right.
helps,
Has anyone? Well, hey, we got a way out of here. Has anyone paged Rona?
That's a good idea.
Just we need to find cover. Just
All right.
bear with
Okay. And we find cover.
Well, let's specify that, shall we?
Well, yeah. Actually, Kaz turns to Aramis and says, "Cover from what? Rona needs to get the hyperlance in here to get us out."
it's one thing at a time.
Okay. But what cover from what? What are from the entrance? From the elevator? I think the elevator's handled.
Aramis just doesn't know how. He just shakes his head and he just keeps pulling on the cable with Petra and Bliss.
Yeah, we get Petra and Bliss up
Okay, you can do that.
and look to Aramis for directions.
Where is the most convenient place that we can hide that keeps us away from without being visible to the entrance?
Kaz says, "I could create another dimension if you need that right now." You seem to be more aware of what's going on at the moment, so you tell us what to do.
Let's not use anything just yet. We might still need it.
All right.
Aramis looking to.
Sure. How do I? There. So the only there, and just to be clear, hidden from the entrance of what? The entrance of the hangar?
Yeah, the entrance
or
of the hangar at this point.
Okay. So well, I mean, the convenient place to be would be right here, right? Because this is behind a wall. Sorry, I'll do that again.
Yeah.
Like right here. Because it's behind a wall, and you would not. They wouldn't be able to see you from any angle in the hangar. Or over here would be the same kind of thing. This, it might be okay, but it's maybe a little more exposed, but certainly this would be fine. The other, of course, easiest option is to get inside here, because they definitely won't see you inside there, and it's also behind a wall, if you're looking for fast.
Aramis gets everybody else except Sleepwell moving in that direction immediately. Goes back over to Sleepwell and says, "Can you do anything right now?"
Yeah, I think if we can get the body frame, we can flip it over. I can take the chip out that we put in. Remember that we put in to bring Prasad back? Help me flip it.
Do you need to do that right this second, or can we do that in just a minute?
I mean, how long are we sticking around? What?
Just trust me, please. And he motions, Aramis motions for you to follow, and he heads over with the rest of the group behind the wall.
Sleepwell is just kind of like concerned, nonplussed even, but follows.
Okay. All right. So, and where are you going here?
Yeah,
Or,
I'm just going to take them behind that wall there.
okay. Go ahead and move them when you get a chance. Okay. So you move behind there. All right. And the sounds of sort of fighting seem to get quieter from down below. Whatever's happened has happened down there.
And then Aramis proceeds to tell them everything that he discovered from his little investigation, taking in the entire area, including explaining the difficulty of the maneuver, hanging outside of the hangar, sort of like hovering outside of the hangar, and just describing everything in as much detail as he can, and then just kind of stopping before drawing a conclusion for them.
Okay.
And so for everybody's reminder, there was an incredible amount of difficulty to do the exact thing that this is all able to do. And I actually want to have a quick question for you. There's no other blaster fire. Like the only example of blaster fire is Alfred and the ship, right? There's not anything on the console. There's not anything else in the room at all.
No, there are a little bit of. There are definitely some marks near the console.
Okay.
But they're in the same direction. So if you look here for a moment, there are. And we're going to freehand this, and I'll do it terribly, but.
Okay.
Blaster marks here. 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 Like they're all in a line. So ship, Alfred, and then console. As if whatever was just like blasted all the way through them.
And so.
And you can't see other blaster fire besides that, no.
Wait, are you saying the Hyperlance did this?
I'm not saying anything right now. I'm not drawing any conclusions. But evidence seems to indicate.
So wait. And now I have to be out of character for a second.
Sure.
So we were flown down by that one dude whose name I'm not remembering right now.
Drake.
Right.
Mhm.
And he was in a different ship than the Hyperlance.
That is correct.
And he
Yes,
was-
Grammy-winning rapper Drake flew us down.
And then he stood up and he was like,
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, go down in the Hyperlance.
yeah, it's like.
Go down in my ship.
You can call me on your communicator.
So Drake drove us down, and then Rona was supposed to be in the propinquity so that we could summon her, and she could come pick us up.
And also as a distraction, because the idea was that they were all going towards what they thought was going to be the
she
thing was the
forced a
Hyperlance.
distraction.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just like, so if it looks like the Hyperlance, that means either Rona was captured or Rona betrayed us. Right?
Hmm.
Only two options.
I can think of a third.
Which is
There's more than one Alfred.
more than one hyperlance. Really?
Oh. Well, do we want to just call Rona? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? If she's the one that betrayed us, it doesn't really matter anyway, right?
Except she'll know we're alive. Like, who did she think she was shooting? And like, how long was Alfred under fire? He contacted us, and he seemed to have some seconds to speak before he went down.
Yeah.
What exactly happened?
I'm not sure if he saw anything. But, we
So-
can't stay here.
Order of operations. We've got to get Alfred turned over so that I can extract the Prasad chip that we pulled there to see if there's anything
Sure.
we can recover.
How long are you going to need to do that?
I think all I have to do is flip him over and pull the chip out. Should be a couple seconds. I just couldn't move him myself.
How big is the wreckage of the ship?
It's probably about
And
30.
I think this was Sleepwell's flying car that he made.
Right,
yeah.
that have been constructed to get you there. Right, so it's not huge. It's probably 20 by 20. The wreckage, like on the ground, or 25 by 25.
That's right.
And Kaz says, I can stand behind it and shoot my grapple gun and sort of pull back, maybe. That'll help a little.
Could do that.
So, but Kaz turns to Aramis and says, so you had us all take cover here. Is it because you think whoever shot is coming back?
I don't have any answers. I just know what the evidence indicates. And at this point, we can't take any more risks. Whatever it is, we have to be very clear about what we're doing.
Hmm.
Like we are vulnerable here. We either are going to deal with whatever's down there, whatever those beasts don't kill, we're going to have to deal with, or we're going to have to deal with whatever shot up Alfred and this vehicle.
We could try to take the ship right over on the other side there. But then my fear is that if a ship did this to Alfred, then that ship could certainly take down our ship that we
Yeah,
used to leave.
Yeah, agreed.
So I think honestly, if we're thinking about safety and getting time to figure out what's going on, we might want to stay on the planet and maybe hide in the rocks or something. I don't know.
I think this all hinges on whether we've lost the hyperlance or not.
Yeah.
I think we need to contact Rona, but we need to do it and be prepared for the consequences, whatever happens.
Well, we don't have to contract Rona to contact the hyperlance, right, Petra?
I'm not sure if Petra heard that.
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
I'm not sure that we have to contract Rona to contract the hyperlance, right, Petra? Wink, wink.
Well, let us remember that every time we use that method of contacting the hyperlance, there is the problem that I'm not going to come back at one point. So I personally would rather contact Rona first and try that.
We reveal all our cards, but I guess we don't have a choice.
Petra, as you're thinking about it, by the way, the Bliss stirs and
Well, she's waking up.
yep, seems like
Okay.
it.
When I see
Yeah,
that,
I will
I'm going to go to her
turn
and
to her.
be as medically useful to her as I can.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to undercut the conversation. Sorry, you can finish up with that, but yes, we'll talk about what happens with that in a minute.
We could ping Drake first.
That seems good. Does anybody object to trying that first?
His ship can't outfly the hyperlance if it's the hyperlance.
But you don't think he had something to do with the betrayal, right? It's much more likely he would betray us than Rona.
Probably not, but maybe he knows what's going on in airspace. Somewhat. I don't know.
All right. How about this? I think no matter what we do to try to get out of here on that shuttle, and Aramis points to the shuttle, basically around the wall, we're not going to outrun whatever it is, whether it's the Hyperlands or it's something else that's like the Hyperlands. We are not going to do ourselves any justice trying to go that direction. Instead, I think what we need to do, and I realize this is harebrained and crazy, but we need to rig this thing up so that it flies off in whatever direction we want it to and is ready to go whenever that other thing shows up, and maybe it'll give us enough of a distraction for Drake or Rona or whoever else is listening out there and can potentially pick us up. Or at least distract whatever it is long enough for us to get to some cover outside of this facility. Otherwise, we're going back downstairs and we got to deal with whatever's downstairs. We got to lock ourselves in until this is all said and done. And like I said, this is all crazy and also assumes that we can only rely on ourselves at this point. Until we talk to either Drake or Rona or both.
Z stands there thoughtfully.
Well, wait a minute. Z, Drake, and Aramis all in the same place is going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just going to say
Brooding, double brooding, triple brooding, mega brooding.
Brooding, the episode.
Brood off.
Yes.
We're listening to heavy metal.
No, man.
Alright, so, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a sound plan. We just gotta contact someone first.
I guess Rona.
Well, actually, first, I think, how about we do this? Some of us go help Sleepwell get Alfred taken care of, and then the other half of us get the ship ready to do whatever the ship's gonna do.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so at this point, maybe it's a good chance to just check in on Bliss. And is there anything I can?
Yeah, so it seems like Bliss is sort of, and her eyes kind of flicker open, and she's like, looking.
Hi, Bliss.
Where am I?
Yeah. So that would take a long time to explain. What's the last thing you remember?
My head hurts.
Yeah. I do have a little medical kit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just, if there's like any kind of
Mhm.
pain reliever or something that I can apply, either
can do that.
topically or
You can probably do that.
Yeah.
And she kind of, I don't remember where am I? Where are we?
We're on a little planet where Baladin was doing really bad things to you. Do you remember any of this?
Baladin. There's a man. There's a man who was. He was important. He was walking on the beach. He was walking next to me on the beach, and I was a little girl, and a hand was in his hand, and there was pain in my head, and he said it would be all right. Something would be. I don't remember.
Yeah, I kind of turn to Kaz and say, like, that looks a little bit, or that sounds a little bit like what you visit, like when you have encounters with your inner friend.
I hope not.
I don't know, but so then I just turn and say, just rest for now. We're here to take care of you. We're going to do everything we can to get you safe.
How did you get here? Well, why are you? You were in the Bastion. You were And you were... And she kind of looks, like, gradually in her eyes kind of clear. You were all there. Why are you...
We're the
Why
ones
are
who
you
saved
here?
We're the ones who saved you in the Bastion, and when they took you again, well, we decided to save you again.
I know they took me again. I know. I know. And she's like, kind of...
Yeah.
As she's sort of growling, almost in sort of pain. Still sleep well. You know that if this were someone who were under the control of some other kind of entity, she wouldn't be reacting like this. This sounds very much like someone who's been disconnected from other input.
Yeah.
And is kind of, gathering other ways of connecting with the world again.
Right. Well, the good news is that you're back now. We'll get you back on our ship, and then I can really take care of you in our medical bay. But for right now, we just need you to lie still, relax as much as you can. We'll give you what medicine we have, and we'll just try to get out of here. All right? Can you hold on just for a little bit?
I think, and then one last cut short from the elevator shaft sounds, and she's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. The power of dance. And so then I go, and I kind of signal to Petra to come with me with her huge muscles to help me try to move Alfred.
Okay. And as I recall, Petra's pulling, you're pulling, and are you using this grappling thing, Kaz, that you were
Yes.
talking about? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Petra make this strength roll then. I'll have her do it at advantage because of the benefit of the mighty sleep well and also Kaz's perhaps even slightly more mighty grapple gun.
All right.
Best purchase I ever made.
Better than your black hole gun, right, Kaz?
Yeah.
Sorry, too soon.
Well,
Oh,
advantage makes no
yeah.
difference
12 is the number of the night.
As you're pulling on it, Petra, this weight of this thing defies you.
Oh, this is heavy.
Sister, because we're both doing it, right?
I did. That's why she got advantage.
Oh gosh. Oh, she got the advantage.
Yeah, she got
See,
advantage.
right.
You're like, can't we,
Okay.
sister? I'm like, indeed.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. Now, there is one alternative to this, which is that you could take the time to take each piece of the ship, like basically carefully pull it off her, but it's going to take a while, half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Did you fabricate this thing though? You created this thing, this vehicle that we're dealing with here, right?
That's right.
Right.
Isn't that something that he can dispel?
Well, not dispel.
So
He
you
can just create it. The thing is, though, normally he can do that at will, but this is now not responding to him because it's a bunch of parts. This thing has been blown up, right? So basically, you're dealing with a Hulk at this
Okay.
point. I mean,
Well,
that's too
okay.
big. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It's like a pile of metal.
So at this point, I go to Kaz. It's like, Kaz, I think we only need the head, and I think you have this sort of like plasma dagger, if I'm remembering right.
I do.
The shiv.
Why don't we just do what's necessary?
Yeah. I was thinking of doing that with Baladin, but got him on a disc, so. But yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about that
As he's
later.
slumped over.
Hey, yeah. No, I think I made a good decision there. Okay.
As you're making that suggestion and you two are agreeing, Aramis comes up and says, aren't all the Alfred bodies wired? Aren't they connected in some way? Or, like, remember we were concerned about it blowing
Yeah,
up.
they're on like a Alfred network.
That was that's correct. And there was the theory that they could
Yeah.
infect each other or all be connected or could all blow each other up. Yeah, it wasn't clear the extent of it. Yes,
But
supposedly.
we've disconnected them by deactivating the other Alfreds that we were in contact with.
Look, you are the person who knows the most about this situation. I am just concerned about what we still don't understand and whether you, by manipulating the body in any particular way, in a way that you have not done before, might actually set this thing off at this point.
Now, so this is a little bit just like backstory, trying to remember months back here.
Yeah.
Because I did do a study of my Alfred and where the
You did.
biomechanism was of like
You
where
did.
the explosive part was. Was it attached to that?
Yes.
I think I remember it being somewhere else.
Well, there is so it's a harness basically. So there is a heart center Have we talked about whether you've seen The Mandalorian? Have you?
I have seen the
Okay,
Mandalorian.
so IG-11 has that thing that he keeps being like, I must now self-destruct. Right? That thing, it's like that, except that it attaches up through the spinal cord into the neck, which is particularly nasty. It's designed so that you can't just deconnect one thing without you have to basically take out the entire spine. Because the whole thing is attached to this explosive device on the heart. So the explosive part is the heart, but the body of it is connected to something which goes all the way up here into the head.
Right. So, but it's like in a spinal cord.
Yes, that's right. That's right. That's right.
So it's like.
And if you're asking if you
could
could disconnect
cut
it and pull it
above
out,
it.
the answer is yes, probably.
Yeah. That's exactly what I sort of.
But it's a little like operation, right? You
Right.
don't want to.
Well, hey, we have a doctor.
You do. You are a doctor.
I hand the surgical energy shiv to Sleepwell and say, gives you advantage on attack rolls in the first turn of combat, but I don't think that applies here.
I mean.
Roll initiative against the
I'm
Alfred.
the whole cosmos here, you know. But instead of that, where I would try to carve so carefully, what I'm thinking is all I need to do actually is just carve out the part where this is. So it's like I need to carve like a 2-inch incision where I could just pop out the thing.
Right. The problem, though, is that it's like this, right? So the issue is, the issue is you need to turn it over somehow. That's the issue.
Well, what I'm thinking is like, okay, so assume that.
Or unless are you going through the head down?
Yeah.
Ah,
head
okay.
down,
I love
like
it.
that,
I love it.
so.
Yes, I think you can do that. It is going to be a little bit of operation, though. Not
So.
just the operation, but the game operation.
Mm-hmm.
You do not want to, as Arudinel said, make this buzzer go off.
It's
Yeah.
too risky. Is it's gonna blow up like half a galaxy for that?
If they're all networked together, I mean, there are a lot of unknowns about it.
Right. It just
just a planet or two.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
look,
well, it's totally fine.
montage, little girl on another planet. What could go wrong?
I love jumping.
My nursemaid Alfred is the greatest.
I just discovered the cure for
Oh, man. That's terrible.
I never knew we could fix climate change. Donald Trump is.
And then like Drake is like, I finally finished recording my next video.
Drake is like,
This is the entire rest of the episode, guys. Just us. Yeah.
oh man, it's just nothing but montage after montage.
Yeah.
Oh, holy moly. Well, at this point, I'm holding the energy shiv, and I'm just thinking, Aramis,
Yeah.
come talk me out of this.
Aramis looks at the situation and looks what's going on here, and realizing his hesitancy. Going hyper realistic, Matrix moment kind of a thing. Aramis wants to go like Mentat style. Like he wants to analyze the entire situation and figure out if he can do something else.
Okay, Mentat style. I like it.
I want like for whatever. Aramis is all about emotion.
Yeah.
Like and dealing with his trauma. This is one of those cases where he wants to see beyond himself in that situation and figure out if there's something else that we can do.
Okay.
What I'm generally thinking of is there any way that we can move this wreckage, this essentially like hunk of metal off of this thing that doesn't involve like our physical effort? For example, would it be possible to use the shuttle to bump the wreckage off of Alfred's body?
Yes, it will be a little difficult to maneuver it, and it is possible you will end up crushing Alfred even further, but it is also possible, yes, that you could bump the stuff off of Alfred, yes. That is possible. You're basically bulldozing it off of him. So yes, that's possible.
Sleep well. Get everybody to stand back. What do I need to roll?
Okay, so you're going to run to the shuttle to do this? Okay. So you hop in. It's already hot wired, right? And you kind of, and when it pops up, it has all of these like, symbols that are bizarre to you. It's obviously some other language that you don't speak or are aware of. So it's all these like diamonds and squares and all this kind of stuff popping up on these screens. But there is a lever in front of you and a joystick. And from what you remember, joysticks, forward, backward, left, right. So you're going to need to make for me.
I have flown the hyperlens before. Let us remember that.
That's true. You were using your mind. Let's remember that.
That is correct. However, I still have piloting experience. That does count for something.
Yes.
And you probably have
And
a
I
Atari
played-
2600.
Right, I played lots of...
You've got a joystick. Lots of experience.
And I played a lot of Star Citizen, which is
That's right.
still not out in this century. Okay, so...
Still not out. Sorry, it took me a second there.
Somebody
Okay.
described Star Citizen as the original NFT.
Oh yeah.
my
Oh,
God.
absolutely. That's exactly what it is. Is exactly what it is. And if it weren't for the fact that our dear friend Redlear, who supports us on this channel, still played Star Citizen, man, would I have other things to say about that scam boondoggle. Anyway, so I'm going to ask you to make a computers check for me, please.
Computers, huh?
Computers.
To which I'm going to ask,
Can you persuade it? No.
can I black hat the hell out of it?
Maybe. Let me take a look at the description again of Black Hat.
Summons a black cat to answer your questions.
That is my bonding companion, thank you very much. You guys killed my
Oh,
cat while I was
sorry,
gone, who I
sorry,
still have
sorry.
not found. I am still bitter about that, by the way.
Yeah. You still got your
Z
inflatable bed,
kind of
though.
nods. Okay, so let's see. Black Hat. Do you have
I have a Black Hat's kit.
Right. No, I know.
Can you put that up for him though? By
It's all right. I can find it. So you can computer system. You're not really trying to break data encryption or security. This is not about hacking it. You're basically trying to figure out what the hell the symbols are telling you. Like, that's forward, that's backward. It's not a sort of like, I need to get through security systems and like break into
Technically,
this, that, or the other.
I would call that encryption if it's a different language and I'm looking for a language preference.
Breaking encryption is translating a language.
I'm trying to hack a preference in order to be able to have it in English. Or what common, or whatever.
Kaz will go into the ship to check in on Aramis, and Kaz wants to see if there's a port that seems to match Balidan's chip.
Yes.
Common.
No, I love this moment because so what you're doing is you're like you're like working around it. Like if I could still, and as you're doing that, Kaz, you come up and you're like, hold out this chip, which you note as you're looking, you're like, there's a slot which fits this chip perfectly. Aramis, and he's like holding the thing there.
Aramis plugs it in. I just realized. Yeah, okay.
So you do that, and it says, welcome.
Yeah, all translates to common
Yep,
immediately.
it says welcome. Pull back to go back. Pull forward to go forward. Turn left to go left. And right to go right.
Aramis makes the attempt to do this.
Yeah, that actually doesn't even require, at least initially it doesn't. So it definitely turns, and you're like, I've got this. Then it goes a little fast, and the nose of it goes, like bangs into the wall a little bit. So you're kind of like, and then you're able to pull the shuttle back slowly, and basically into position right about here. So unfortunately, this is not a moving shuttle, but you'll just have to imagine it. So about here. And then you're able to turn it so that it's then facing to the south in that direction.
Okay.
And now what you're going to try to do, I think, is you said bang the thing off them. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to make here a... should be a piloting roll, but I don't remember what the piloting roll actually is.
Yeah, it's interesting that there isn't one skill specifically for piloting.
Oh, you know what? Actually, wait a
I
minute.
remember we had this conversation before when we did
Right.
ship combat.
But wait, because there's the Master Technician's Guide. I wonder if that has it.
There, I have a proficiency in space vehicles. I think that might be the proficiency.
There's a proficiency in space vehicles?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like one of the skills. It's like that's a.
No, it isn't. It's like a sort of like thieves' tools. Like it's not a skill, but it's something you can be proficient in, and that you add your proficiency bonus and stuff.
Wait, so there's a feat called Space Pilot.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a feat. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the proficiency is vehicle space. Yeah, okay.
All right, let's see.
I don't know why I have that. I forget.
Well, buddy, guess what you're going to be doing tonight?
Maybe, yeah. And then there's also this is combat piloting in the core manual. We did this like once.
Yeah, but that was right. But that's combat piloting though. This
Yeah,
is
'cause it says generally D20 plus your proficiency score, if applicable, plus your dexterity, generally. But
yeah, give me 1 second because I have this other spot that I'm looking at.
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have you make a dexterity check, and you can add your proficiency bonus to this, Aramis.
Hey, I wonder if anybody wants to inspire Aramis tonight. I mean,
Well,
no, I'm going to go ahead and...
Crickets.
Wait a second, Aramis.
Okay.
So I have 51,000 points. Points to inspire Aramis.
You could actually buy an inspiration with your channel points. I don't remember how much a channel point, how much it is for one of these
It is
inspirations.
50,000.
So you could cash it in, get it, and immediately use it. So go ahead and do that. I think you can do that in your chat. I think it shows you a little thing where you can click on it.
Just
All right.
Oh
So,
my
and you
God.
check availability. You are 50,000 channel points, all gone. But you can,
Wow.
because you're allowed to inspire another character, just not yourself. So you can inspire. That means one of those points is down. So we got 2 left. All right. So you can inspire Aramis to do this.
All right, here we go.
That's a good sign.
That's a very good sign.
That's okay. So
Thank you so much. But just the security of it alone makes me feel great.
Yeah.
But it worked out. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, man.
and there should be one of these. Okay. All right. So you were able to sort of nudge it forward, and with a terrible sound of screeching metal, you managed to get it off of him and off of Alfred. And Alfred just kind of, flops around, but is now out basically of the metal.
All right. Aramis is immediately.
And you're still there. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Aramis is immediately going to pull the ship back.
Okay.
He's going to set it down, and he's immediately going to take a look while they get to do whatever else. He's going to check out the vehicle to figure out how much damage he actually did to
Okay.
the ship.
It does not look like you did a lot of damage to it. There's a lot of scratches and, the outside of the shuttle, and that looks kind of a mess. There's also a pretty alarming dent in the spot where you think you banged into the wall before with it, in the nose of the shuttle. But it still looks serviceable. There's no obvious rifts that you can see. And it looks like the shuttle is okay.
Okay. Aramis is immediately going to start working on the plan that we talked about, which is getting this thing to go off in a particular direction when we decide it to.
Okay.
Aramis steps back from the camera.
So as you said that, that's going to lead us to. Oh, we'll talk about the medicine. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about the medicine thing next. So you're going over to deal with. You've been dealing with Bliss. Now you can deal with Alfred. Right. So now you're back over with the thing. Yes. So you're now able to turn Alfred around with a little bit of difficulty, but you can get there. And so now you can get access theoretically to the back of his head. And as you kind of fiddle with it a little bit, it is kind of still dented in, but you're able to pull it out. And then there's the chip that you had placed in there. It's still slotted into the spot where you left it.
Out it comes.
Okay.
and I go back for cover immediately and just position myself next to Bliss to get in service doctor.
Okay. Okay. Nothing happens when you. It's just there.
Yeah. So chip acquired.
Okay. All right. So you have the chip. Now what?
So now I turned over and was like, now what?
Aramis is trying to rig up the shuttle.
Yeah.
And as he's doing that, he looks to everybody else and he says, "All right, who wants to make the call and who are we calling? Are we calling Drake? I mean, or is this the time that we actually put all the cards on the table and take the risk? Figure out what the Hyperlance is actually, whether it's involved or not."
I don't think there's any harm in calling Drake first. It's not like we can't call Rona after.
Right.
But what if Rona's in trouble? Like, shouldn't we try to reach out and see what she's up to first?
Why don't we make 2 calls at the same time? And one of us talks to one, the other talks to the other.
Ah. We could do that.
Okay.
All right.
Because obviously we have 2 GMs that can run 2 conversations at once.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, I'll do what I can.
Kaz will call Drake.
Okay. And who's calling Rona?
I point to Pedra. Wait, Pedra.
Okay.
Okay. So, Kaz, you call Drake, and you're basically trying to use the comm link to do it. When you do this, there's kind of a, and then there's a, yeah, this is Drake. Yes.
This is Kaz. And is everything all right up there, as far as you know?
As far as I know, it's been quiet here. I mean, as quiet as this planet ever gets. Did you get what you needed to? Did you take down the base?
Are you still parked where we last saw you?
Sure, where else should I be?
Kaz kind of pulls away and tells everyone else what he's saying.
As he says that, Petra, you are contacting Rona. And so you reach out to Rona, and there's sort of a, and then there's, yes, who is this? Petra? Who is this?
It's Petra, Rona. It is indeed Petra. What's up with you? You sound a little frazzled there.
I'm more than a little frazzled. Ah! And then she kind of swears under her breath, or not actually under her breath, but sort of swears. And then you hear this kind of like terrible, like cracking sound. And she says, "I'm a little busy, Petra, trying to keep these ships off you. How much longer are you going to be?"
We're going as fast. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're good.
We're going as fast as we can, Rona. Just finding out what's out. We'll be there as fast as we can, Rona, and I will tell the others what's going on.
All right, well, hurry up. I've got half the ships in this quadrant on. And she says that. And then Kaz, meanwhile, the conversation with Drake, Drake says, all right, well, you coming to me or am I going to come back to you? Remember, when I come back to you, they're going to see me. They're going to know the ship's there, so you better have done what you're supposed to.
We have a shuttle here. We could possibly maybe rendezvous in orbit. I look at everyone else.
Well,
Sure. Yeah.
all right. Where do you want me to meet you? Same place? I can come halfway. What do you want me to do?
Maybe we can. Maybe we can meet just in orbit, right above the base or something.
You mean using your shuttle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine with me, I suppose. What does the
Okay.
shuttle look like?
You ever seen Star Wars? I'm just kidding.
He says, I never watch kids shows.
Oh, all right.
And so you immediately destroy him and throw him into the next century. Because that guy does not deserve it. Sorry.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. And then we can try to rendezvous with Rona. Just be prepared. We, something came by and kind of did a drive-by or a flyby on the hangar. So, yeah. Kaz lowers the communicator, looks at Aramis and says, "Why is that so funny?"
Man, I got movies to show you. But just...
Yeah, I didn't even have to use my AK. I gotta say it was a good day. All right. All right. So you do that, and as you're doing that, Petra, you were talking to Rona, and Rona says, "All right, where am I meeting you, Petra? Am I coming down? Are you coming up? What's going on? Where's Drake?" And she's like, you hear the sound of like, the ship groaning as it goes through various chain like turns and
What do you
twists.
guys think? We have her come down to get us, or?
Yeah.
Well, she
Yeah,
needs to
let's
lose.
those people and then come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Rona, you're going to have to lose those people and come get us.
Sounds good. For a minute, I thought you were going to ask me to do something complicated. God, Frelit! And she's like, like this. And then the comm link sort of clicks off. And that means all of you can basically, if you want, go to the hangar or jump onto the shuttle. Depends on what you're doing now, on whether you're getting, because the shuttle is rigged. You have it set, you think, where you can basically set it more or less by almost like the equivalent of rubber banding the joystick forward and then just letting it go out in one area. You could do that if you wish, or you could take the shuttle yourselves up to rendezvous with Drake. Sorry, with Drake and the Rayeva, I think it is.
Aramis looks to Kaz and says, "Do we trust?"
Well, yeah, I guess I do.
Did we
I mean-
put Rona and the Hyperlance into danger then? And he kind of Aramis looks around to everybody at that point.
Well, she's already in danger.
Yeah, but she's still outrunning them at this point, but now she's got to come back through whatever group of ships and come get us.
Yeah.
We have the shuttle, and then we're supposed to link up with Drake, and then he's supposed to link up with the Hyperlance. Is that what the plan is now?
I guess. I don't
What's
know.
the plan if we trust Drake? I never quite trusted him, but I don't know.
I think in this situation, that makes him more trustable. The fact that we didn't trust him in the first place. Never mind. So.
Sleeple faints.
Oh no! Now the doctor's down. What are we gonna do? I'm not married to any idea. So whatever we want to do, it sounds like both of them want to pick us up. So we just need to pick our poison.
Let's have Rona pick us up. I think she's coming to do it.
If she could just come down and is there any way that you could have the ship Aramis do a loop? Like, do you think it could circle kind of like around and we can kind of see if anyone blasts it to bits if we lure it out?
Can we rig it for remote control?
Yeah, remote control take longer. You can set it so that you can basically like tape it to the left, right? And then it'll just like turn in a certain circle, at a certain distance. Once you do that, though, then it's pretty much out of your control. If you want to try to set it up as a remote control, it's going to take a while. You have to put some transmitter in there. It's not obviously designed for remote use, but, anything's possible, but it's about time.
Aramis is going to rig it up to do a circle.
Okay, to do that thing with the rubber, or with the equivalent of the rubber band? Okay. All right, so, Aramis, you're able to set it up so it does that. And do you want it to be like kind of a long, slow, kind of lazy circle, or kind of a tight,
Oh no, long, slow, lazy circle.
Okay. So you're able to do that, like, and get out of it, and then when you're ready, you can like activate it and jump back. Is that yeah? So you jump back into the hangar, and the thing starts going sort of long, slow, and you wait as you sort of goes around, and then you see it coming in, and the orbit's starting to list a little bit, like the circle is starting to list, but nothing seems to be attacking it.
I tell Drake to pick us up at the hangar because we don't have a shuttle anymore. So.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So Rona. So as I understand this, Rona's coming down. Am I right about that? Rona's coming down, and also Drake is coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess so. Yeah.
Perfect. So Rona comes down. So Rona comes down. So you look up. So there's this moment where all of you. This is such a fun visual. Where Sleepwell, you are standing next to Petra, standing next to Aramis, standing next to Kaz, who's kind of looking up, and Z kind of impassively next to you, with Bliss Larkham like supported by Sleepwell probably on one side, and then randomly the Laris Baladin just like talk on top of this thing behind you, and there, and you can see sort of a glint up in the sky, and then here comes the Hyperlance. Over here, you see the you kind of can make out coming closer in the setting sun. You can see the glint off of the ship of the Drake's Rayeva coming towards you, and the comlink flickers into life, and you hear, and then you hear, "All right, I'm coming up here, but there's something weird though. You might want to stand back. And then the Hyperlance has closed to about here, and suddenly lasers from above the Hyperlance fire down on Drake's ship, and there's just and like power, and it seems to come for a moment out of nowhere. So we have this moment as you're staring, and here's the Hyperlance sort of hovering, and slowly into view, a ship materializes. It is as if you were looking at two of the same ship. And that is where we're going to bring our session to a close.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Congratulations.
I hope you feel good about yourself.
Hey, you like all the Alfreds.
Man, what a really, really fun session. What a delight.
The Winter Lance.
The
Hyperspear.
The Hyperspear. Exactly. That's right. Who's controlling what? Exactly. Oh man, it's going to make the 15th really interesting. Especially, Saladin's going to be like, what happened? Well, I don't... but it'll be perfect because, of course, he's never seen Ireland. Wonderful work, everybody, and what fun. It was really, really a lot of fun today. I will start, first of all, with Zach, as always. Zach, great stuff today. I thought that Kaz had some really, really funny moments to me about, like, just maybe I could do that. Never mind that reference. There's always a little bit of Kaz's personality that is kind of, it doesn't quite fit, and it's always amusing then because he's not, he's still figuring out in some ways, what these non-star beings actually are like, and I thought it was really fun to see that happen. But also, of course, Kaz, you were the one who seemed to be, Zach, Kaz observed a lot of stuff today where you were standing watching as Petra's trying to get down, Bliss Larkham, and you're standing observing to see if there's anything happening with the ships out there. So we got a lot of stuff from kind of a Kaz's eye view. And I would also point out, by the way, that one person you haven't met in the base is Aricia Angel. She was supposed to be here somewhere, and she isn't. But at least you haven't found her.
Yeah.
So anyway, Kaz. Zach, Kaz had a lot of moments of these observations, which were a lot of fun for me to see, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. Maybe we'll have Hunter versus other Hyperlance ship for all the marbles. We'll see.
Yes.
How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks see you next?
Very cool. We went up 2 levels, and we. Got back in the
Someone is
hangar
not
and
out of the base. Someone is not out of the base.
Yeah. Before the session ends, Kaz takes a step out of the base and goes back in.
And plunges to his death.
Yes.
I went up a level!
Immediately gets shot by the Hyperspear.
Yeah, exactly.
Level 10! I'm looking forward to the surprise reveal of this new Hyperlance Spear Winter thing. And maybe some ship combat again, which would be cool. Or, like you said, I can just sniper shot the thing out of the sky. or do a good Boba Fett to it or something. I don't know. That'd be fun. I wish I had that, but anyway, yeah, a lot of fun tonight. Very happy and glad to see you guys able to get together, and someday the whole crew is gonna get together and it will be the
glorious,
most amazing session in the world.
It'll be glorious.
But yeah, the fine people can find me on this channel for this and our vocalists, and then perhaps sometime soon on my own channel again with the aforementioned Tower of Dread, the big Jenga game that I play on my channel.
Yeah.
But that's about it for me.
Good stuff, Zach. As always, great pleasure. And yes, we will absolutely have to do that for sure. It was, as always, a great pleasure to have Carlos with us, and it was especially fun to see the mad stylings of Carlos Hernandez's Sleep Well, especially next to Johnny. It was a delight to see you two playing off of each other.
How can we forget the egg dance?
The egg dance
episode, yes.
I'm like, that's one of those ones where you're just like notes, like I don't know, like, sure, but it is delightful because it fits Sleepwell's personality, and it also is. It's not just sort of I'm a goofball. It's not really that. There's a certain logic, right, to everything Sleepwell does. You're like, sure. You're like, weird, but sure, right? Like there's a certain logic to it. And in this case too, of course, Sleepwell, you've got your own stuff to deal with in terms of the sort of the loss of the Alfred, which has got to be weighing on you, and the sacrifice of the Broodroids, and there were a bunch of things going on there that had some kind of an effect, and of course the sort of shadowy presence of whatever the hell happened with Laris Baladin down there, and Bliss kind of gradually coming out of it. So there was a lot of Sleepwell trying to, like, it felt to me, process and take all this stuff in.
Right.
And you're all dealing with a situation that is just all effed up, like, from here to Sunday, because you're in a rough spot. Like, you're in a secret base, and, so there's a lot going on, and Sleepwell's got to process all of it. How did you feel about today's session, and where will the lovely folks find you next?
Yeah, it was super fun. So, first of all, the most important thing I want to say is that, those of you who've never had a chance to play with Johnny Pittman in person, it's like a million times better than before. You just
so good.
Shut up or I'm gonna hug you.
So good.
No, but it's really great to be live here. You feel the energy in just such a different way. It's so great. I mean, as great as Roll20 is, it's just so great to be live. So that was really a ton of fun. I mean, and so this is definitely that part in the science fiction adventure story where all the lasers are shooting, but then later we need to have the time to say, what did all of that mean?
Yeah.
It's and so, and what I like about our game is that we don't pull in Alderaan. It's like, oh, my whole planet exploded, 18 billion voices destroyed. What's for lunch? That kind of immediate planet's gone, whatever. We'll take some time to process, and you've planted seeds with Z and that connection and stuff, and so we'll see how it goes. But right now we've just got a big old ship materializing, in front of us, and you live first and then you think later. So that's I think where we're at. Tons of fun, and our little montage scene was also another high point for me.
He blows that little girl, blows up. So funny. Oh god, it was funny.
That was great. So I'll be around. I have a reading that I think is going to be broadcast at the Ample Hills Creamery, where you get ice cream and you hear science fiction. So I'll be performing with other middle grade writers there. It'll be broadcast. Claire and I are the guests of honor at WindyCon in November, so we will be having a weekend full of fun there, and I'll tell you more about that as time goes on. And I think you'll see me here next, though, whenever next we play.
2 weeks, the 15th. We'll be back for this. Good stuff. Carlos, always a pleasure. And really a great pleasure, as always, to have Kat with us. And Kat, Petra, so, obviously here Petra was having to kind of adjust to things that were happening, like, follow my lead, for example, sleep well. and the idea that Petra was the one who critted that dance is just so tremendous that Petra was just kind of like, you were born for this moment. I mean, it was just...
Any session that has Petra rolling a natural 20 for a performative dance is...
With an egg in her mouth. Let's be clear, or the equivalent. It was really great to see. And of course, there was that whole thing about it. And it's interesting because people are starting to use Petra in certain cases to say, we'll get in contact with them. And, in this case, Petra, sort of stood up for herself and was like, listen, there's also the point that I may not come back one of these days. Like, can we do something else first?
Petra, I'm not a phone.
Yeah, like, I mean, exactly. Like, I'm not a Zoom call. Like, can we please?
Yeah.
So that was interesting, and of course, Petra's connection with the Hyperlance here is going to be interesting, also, as whatever the hell this thing is. So that you just saw. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. How did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
I thought it was a lovely time. Where will folks see me? Well, I am always on Twitter, and you can come visit the Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers and come see what the virtual campus is like if you want to have plenty of Rambo nonsense. And that's where you'll find me. I got a book due the 15th of October, so I'm head down and working for the next 2 weeks.
And then at the end of it, see, it'll be great because you'll come out of that, and then we'll play on the 15th, and Petra will be like, I'm ready to hit everything with my hammer, right? Like, I mean, I assume at that point.
And or I'll just be sort of slumped in the chair, like,
I cannot even think about it. Good luck, of course, Kat, with everything with the book, and it will be as good as all of your work always is. But always a pleasure to have you, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. And last but certainly not least, Johnny, it was great to have you with us again. I have had the pleasure of playing with both of these gentlemen. I need to now play with Kat, and I have actually met, of course, Kat in person. I still haven't met Zach in person, so I need to meet Zach in person and then play with Zach in person and play with Kat in person. So eventually it needs to happen. But I have played with each of these gentlemen before, but never together in the same room. And let me tell you, that was great. I mean, both of you played off each other really well, and I also thought that Aramis had a lot of moments where sort of I could see the wheels turning, where you were prioritizing what you needed to do. You need to get up to Alfred, you need to talk to him, and you had made a certain bond. Sleepwell's bond with the Alfreds is obvious, but you had also made a certain bond with the characters around you, and we talked a lot about how Aramis's arc has meant that he doesn't have the same level of kind of cynicism as before.
Right.
So this stuff still makes him feel things now, and it's sort of like, damn it, like I don't want, I had to lose another person like this, and is also trying to be like, because again, the fact that you were the only one who knew about the Hyperlance possibility, you were like, everyone's like, let's just call the Hyperlance. You're like, I can't, what? I can't tell you this yet, and yet like Aramis is having to think about that and a bunch of things. So while Sleepwell's processing loss, you're processing loss. Petra is processing this thing with the possible contacting the Hyperlance. Kaz is observing it all, and you're having to do this while also practically being the one that in this particular session, a lot of people were like, well, you tell us, what did you see? Like, you were up here first. So that was really interesting to me to see you kind of maneuvering through those different conditions you had to satisfy. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to Carlos. Thank you. I appreciate the adoration that you were passing, and vice versa. I will never get over watching the dance emoting in person. Kind of doing the whole thing here, right? Right?
I don't think it's working. I was almost going to say, how did you pick up a metal egg in your mouth? And I'm like, you know what? Just go on with your bad self. Like, I don't even like.
Remember, he's got a cat mouth, so it actually
a cat mouth.
Well, but it also floats. That's why I was saying, like, it was able to float.
But was it like floating, like?
Yeah, it was like it was a carefully designed pantomime.
My reaction with the Bioroids was 100% what they would have done, which is like, what the f are you talking about?
So, yes, we have played in the same room. We have now played in the same room. This needs to happen in person. We do need to make this happen.
Yeah.
There is nothing like being in the same place with people that you've been playing with for so long after not doing it. It's next level stuff. So
yeah.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Miss you guys. Wish you guys were here. Zach, we have met in person once. We need to get together in person, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you for making this happen. As for the whole arc of what's going on for Aramis and the whole prioritizing thing, yeah, Aramis is the smartass. He's the cynical one. He also often has to make the hard calls on being the guy who says something that's different
Yeah.
in the situation and tries to go for and tries to think outside the box
Yeah.
because in so many cases we are in situations as characters where there's no obvious answer, no obvious win, and somebody's got to say that thing. So I enjoy that part of Aramis because it's a part of the larger sort of arc that I see the character going through.
Yeah.
He's no longer drinking. He's no longer finding ways to hide himself from the world. And he's been doing that for a long time with these characters as well. So
And he's still got his mission. He's still got his thing that's sitting out there to be done as well. So yeah.
Right. He's got one element of his redemption arc.
Yeah.
And this is opening up his eyes to larger sort of like a larger perspective on that redemption, right? Because he has been hiding for so long. So I enjoyed every moment of being set up to be able to do all those things. It's also something I'm not necessarily totally comfortable doing because as coming from a GM background, more often than not I enjoy playing characters and I enjoy it, but I'm also the kind of person who as a player tends to play in the background and play the other characters and push them as a support, play the characters as a support because it's wonderful watching the performance of Carlos or Kat or Zach. So I really enjoy it when those moments come forward and to be able to do that. So thank you very much. You will probably see me you'll see me definitely next here, possibly next since we're on the road. We're on the road for almost a month. I brought a bunch of gear to be able to stream remotely. So I'm going to try that over the next couple of weeks, and so we'll see. And I'll announce that on Twitter if I'm actually going to do something where I think it's actually going to work. But so the place you'll definitely see me here next is in 2 weeks, waiting to find out what the hell that ship is named. Because that's all I really care about.
The Lancer hype, It's gonna be good times.
Spear of Destiny?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is a
Crucible
situation.
Destroyer.
Yeah, exactly. It's called the USS Enterprise. No. So this was a great fun, and it's such a joy to be able to GM with people in person also, and not just on Zoom calls. As much as Carl said, Roll20 is great, but it's nice to be able to. This is the roots, folks. This is where it's at. So it was a great pleasure, and so I want to thank, and then I'm going to let go my players, and we will also sort of segue out because that's going to be it for me as well. Remember, chat, I am maybe going to be streaming at some point on Saturday from Origins. It depends. I'm also here hanging out with friends that I haven't seen for a long time, and it's a great pleasure to do that, let me tell you. So I don't know. I may do some kind of bonus on stream. I don't know. As I mentioned, Saturday is up in the air. But you will definitely see me back on the channel next week. On Tuesday, we have our Gamebook illustration stream. We got Solasta, Crown of the Magister on GOG. And we got a bunch of stuff coming up in October. We have another session again of Esper Genesis. We've got Eberron, 2 sessions of Eberron. Jen Brozek is here, by the way, so we were able to connect Jen and I and talk a little bit as part of the Origins library. So there's just a lot of that tabletop stuff that is on the way because it's awesome and tons of fun, and so on. So you will see a lot more of that from us. If you like what you saw and heard, please follow the channel, check out our YouTube, check out our Discord, check out our Twitter, check out all that other kind of stuff, and otherwise continue to be lovely people. Chat, I'm going to ask you to, one last time for tonight, please say thank you to the wonderful players. Thank you so much to Johnny. Thank you to Kat. Thank you to Carlos. Thank you to Zach. And wonderful work from everybody. And I cannot wait for 2 weeks from now with Hyperlance 2. When they will finally say, "Can we be level 10?"
Yes. You gotta do one step, just one step out.
That is going to do it for us. Thank you, everybody.
Greg. Thank you for an awesome
Yes,
My
thank
great
you,
pleasure.
Greg.
Yeah.
Always my pleasure. Bye for now.
Bye, chat. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that is going to do it for us. Thank you, chat, to everybody again. Much love to all of you lovely people, and we will see you folks on the flip side. Bye for now.
Awesome.
When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I grew older, I set aside childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silrain Heart, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common: the crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.